All right, good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. Scenarios are up on Facebook. I'm working to get them up on Twitter. One of them is lengthy, and I'm realizing that everybody's going to struggle with that one. And it's on me. Like, I already, like, as I'm, I went too far. I've gone too far. I'm an idiot. I got to know that we can't handle that around here. It's got to be, would you rather have $1 million or break your leg? That's the only thing we can handle any longer.
I guess I'd take $1 million.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
You'd still probably find a way to, like, ask questions about it. Like, do you get it all at once, or, like, do you get it?
Exactly. What's the interest rate on that?
Anyway, it is Would You Rather Wednesday, and I am finishing up getting those scenarios posted at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter as well. Coming up on the program today, Drew Forrester is scheduled to join us in studio, but if he didn't make it, that would just be a real shame. I mean, I'd hate that. I just hate that. What he said he was dealing with. Maybe you just tell him, like, hey, if you can't, we understand. Just say, like, Glenn wants you to know that if it doesn't work out, it's going to be okay. If he needs, say Glenn's concerned about your dog. If you need to spend more time at home with your dog, then that'll be all right. Drew is apparently going to be here in a bit. Also this morning, we're going to catch up with Bob Nightengale from USA Today. He wrote a really interesting piece about the pain that Brandon Hyde has been through in getting the Orioles to this point. We're going to talk to him about that. And this morning, we will catch up with Damascus's own and former Terp, now Indianapolis Colts running back Jake Funk, before he comes back to town. I called a game that Jake Funk played at M&T Bank Stadium where he scored 7 touchdowns.
Jeez. So
Damascus played Dundalk. When I used to do the state championship games for radio, I don't even know if they do them on radio anymore. But when I used to do the radio broadcast, the state championship games, which was nice because we got to use the BAL booth. It's a nice booth. Nice booth. It is. It's a really nice booth.
What made it so nice?
Who did I do the game? Oh, I did it with Popovic.
Really?
He was my color analyst
nice.
It was me and Popovic. We did the state title games on radio. Although I feel like we only, because there were 4, or there's still 4, or do they do more of them now? I feel like they've like crossed divisions and there's now like 1A or 2. I feel like they've.
I mean, yeah. I think there is.
It's out of control.
It's like 1A, 2A, 4A, 3A.
But is there still 4 title games, or are there more than that?
Are
they up to like 6?
Then I guess, you're the MIAA.
No, that's not a thing. That's private schools. I'm saying in public, in MPSSAA, there were 4 divisions. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know how many there were anymore. Anyway, the moral of the story is I was working this state title game between Damascus and Dundalk, and I was excited about seeing Jake Funk because I knew he was headed to Maryland. What I didn't know is that he was going to have a 7-touchdown performance. I also remember, like, I don't think Dundalk had been very good for a long time. There were a lot of Dundalk folks. It was a big deal for the Dundalk people to be in the state championship game. And there were a lot of them in the stadium. There was a lot of hullabaloo. I think that might have been the story, like, leading into state championship weekend, that the only thing that anybody cared about was the fact that Dundalk was in the title game. And they got trounced by Damascus. I mean, trounced. Jake Funk scored 7 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to have 7 touchdowns on Sunday. But, got to remember.
He's got memories.
He's got some magic in that building. Did Maryland ever play there when he was there? Probably did. They probably would have played like a West Virginia game or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, the moral of the story is that Jake Funk is joining us. I've done that a couple of times, the moral of the story today. The moral of the story is that Jake Funk will join us later before the Colts come back to M&T Bank Stadium this Sunday. So we'll look forward to that. All right. Today's show is brought to you by the Baltimore County Police Department. The Baltimore County Police Department has a hiring event coming up. And if you or someone you know has been thinking about a different career path, as we've talked about before, maybe you know somebody who unfortunately has kind of failed the launch a little bit, young person, the type that's just struggling with getting going. You want to point them towards October 28th at the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson, where applicants can complete multiple parts of the hiring process, including the agility test, the written test, the ability. You can go through the entire application right there on the spot. Plus, members of the specialized units will be in attendance. So if you just have questions about, like, hey, I think I'm looking for a new gig, but I'm not sure if, like, being a patrol officer or I don't know if that's for me. You can talk to those members of those specialized units to learn more about what opportunities there might be that go beyond just being a patrol officer. Also, that day, in the afternoon, their second annual trunk or treat event, so the entire community can come out. If you're someone who's maybe had a rocky relationship with the police and you just want to be able to touch them and talk to them and have a conversation, that's a great opportunity to do it and get some candy for your kids. Seems pretty good to me. 410-887-4584 if you want to find out more. Join BaltimoreCountyPD.com. But the next hiring event, October 28th at the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. All right. Lovely evening last night. Lovely, lovely evening last night. Remember the Kevin Clark tweet? The guy from The Ringer who, like, I don't know why this one got picked up, but he said a couple years ago, the Seahawks have literally never been involved in a normal game. That's how I feel about watching the Orioles anymore. And that's cool, as long as they're winning them. I can do this. It's a lot. Like, it's a burden. When Brandon Hyde is getting wildly reckless in the ninth inning, like, let's throw out guys for the fifth straight game. Like, who's going to pitch today, by the way? Like, I know the Kevin Brown joked at the end of the game, like, Kyle Bradish might have to throw a complete game tomorrow. Yeah, he might.
Probably could.
He's pitched well. He's pitched really well.
Has he done that in Houston? No. Was it who?
Who threw
like? Didn't someone go like 7 or 8 innings
last year?
Yeah,
I remember I remember the story. I just don't remember who it was off the top of my head. I'll get back to you.
All right, I'll check it too.
I'll get back to you.
I guess.
I don't remember. I just don't remember. Anyway, the moral of it, I am really falling back on that crutch today. I am really falling back on the moral of the story.
Good crutch.
It's not a good crutch. I mean, there are worse crutches. I've got to be able to transition without always saying the moral of the story.
The point is,
what I'm trying to say is, or at least not saying it every 2 minutes, right? Like, I've got to come up with something else besides that.
He went 8 2/3. Oh, wait, that was in Baltimore.
Against
Houston.
Oh, okay.
He went
well,
8 2/3 in Baltimore.
We'll say that counts.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm. See, that
and he
one was
went
better.
8 innings. Then he went 8 innings at Houston last August as
so
well.
He might have it in him.
He does like the Astros.
He might have it in him. I guess they've got to make a roster move, but you're starting to get to that awkward part where I think if you make a roster move, that person might not be eligible to be on the Now, I don't know if it's different for the wild card round or the ALDS.
The ALDS would start
a few days after. So I think you're beyond 15 days for the start of the ALDS. So it might be that if you made a roster move today, the person that you send down could be on the ALDS roster, just couldn't be on the wild card roster. Don't quote me on that, and maybe if you can get the answer to that. But that
sounds because you have to sit for 15 days.
Unless there's an injury, of course, and there's always the ability for the Orioles 100% that pothole to pop right back up. Real shame about that pothole. Yes, that's the other. The maybe Jorge Lopez should just go anyway because we're not too worried about him being on the. He can't be on the Division Series roster to begin with. Nor would you really necessarily want him to be on the Division Series roster. It's sad because Jorge Lopez is a great guy that's been through a lot, and it was a neat story, him coming back, but I'm not feeling like you need to put Jorge Lopez back into a game at any point. That said, I don't know. I give Brandon Hyde credit for as crazy as it seemed. It's sort of like crazy like a fox. It worked. Jack Flaherty seems unhappy in every time. I don't know that there's anyone I've seen that's ever seemed like the game is over and he just, I think, had his best contribution to the team in a month and a half
since his first start.
And they're like showing him going through the handshake line, and he still seems angry. Like, he was angry that he was getting pulled. I think he was angry that he's being used out of the bullpen. The guy just seems like he's angry at all times. Now, if that works, we talk about how relievers have to be psychopaths, right? Who do we just have on when we were talking? Jacob Webb. We were talking about this with Jacob Webb.
He was like, I lose my...
And, like, maybe, given what we've known of Jack Flaherty and his body language, maybe this is perfect for him. Maybe we're going to find out that he is the perfect person to put in this role. And this does become interesting, right? Because as of this time yesterday, I would have said Jack Flaherty had no role on a postseason roster. I would have said, what are you doing with Jack Flaherty in the postseason? Like, he's not starting, so if he's not starting, we have no... You could say he could be a long man, but in what world do you have proof that he can? Like, so, as of today, now you got to start thinking about whether or not there might be a role for Jack Flaherty in the postseason, because that was, some big ball stuff yesterday. Like, it was. I can't guarantee that he can do that, but against a good lineup to go in when the bullpen has been crushed and to give you even 2 solid innings, I was stunned that in a 4-run game, he was pulled after allowing 1 base runner in the 9th inning. Again, to go to someone who is pitching in a 3rd straight game. But at the same time, I could see I didn't watch Brandon Hyde's postgame, if his point was Flaherty's pitching on 3 days rest, there was always going to be a limit to how far we could go with him on 3 days rest.
Because he was already at like 45.
Yeah, I could see that argument that, like, it just wasn't an option. We knew there was only so much that we could get from Flaherty pitching out of the bullpen. You know what's interesting is, did you see that they announced starters for the next series?
The Orioles did.
Yes. Oh. And someone, like one of the things we've been talking about, hang on a second, make sure I have this right. Yes. Do you know who's listed as starting tomorrow?
No. It should be Grayson, right?
It is indeed Grayson Rodriguez.
Who will be on 5.
Normal rest. Will no longer be on 6-day rest. Now, I hope that based on what he did last Saturday, it's, hey, we don't think we have to worry about it anymore. We're just gonna ride this thing till it's over. I hope that's the case. But the conversation about protecting Grayson Rodriguez was all built around 6 days. Well, now it's a 5-man rotation and no day off. Like, training wheels totally off now. 8-inning start. No days off. Normal rest. I hope for the best, obviously. I hope that Grayson Rodriguez, I hope that's the case. But, boy, it's eye-opening kind of on 2 fronts. It's eye-opening about the lengths that Brandon Hyde is willing to go right now to try to win this division. And I'm not opposed to that. Make that abundantly clear. I get it. Winning the division is winning a playoff series. And that's how Brandon Hyde is managing at the moment. He's managing like he's managing in the playoffs. I get it. I'm not even telling you that I disagree. I understand, and it's probably the right thing to do, but it does teeter on recklessness. I mean, it teeters on, holy crap. I'm not suggesting that Grayson Rodriguez's arm is going to fall off because he's pitching on normal rest, and this is what you're going to expect Grayson Rodriguez to do next season, but it's bold. I mean, it's bold to say the dude just threw the longest start of his life, and now we're going to turn around and take him out of the 6-man rotation and just throw him in 5 days from now and hope for the best. It's bold. You all right over there?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
You ever had a puppy?
Yes, a few of them.
Oh.
What?
My dog was acting up.
Well, did you get my message? If you needed to stay home and not come in today, it would have been. I want to know that I was concerned about your dog.
You sent me a message last night, 2:15, said, "Hey, we're planning for the show, and you're the whole."
You're the whole thing.
Oh boy, this dog! I tell you, it's funny how I eventually coaxed him into the crate. And, Bill Burr has that line about, like, with kids, we've lost our touch with our kids because we should be allowed to threaten them that we're going to punch them in the face, right, to get them in line, right? It's not like
I don't know if I agree with that, but I understand
but
the point.
What Bill Burr says, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying we should be allowed to punch our kids, but we should at least be allowed to threaten them.
Yeah, I get it. Right.
I told my dog, if you don't get in the crate, I'm going to punch you in the face. And
wow.
he walked
and
he got up and went in the crate.
Wow, that's amazing.
I tried cheese in the crate. I tried those little treats. Nothing worked. But when I said, if you don't get
How big is this dog?
He's 35 pounds.
But you couldn't have just picked the dog up?
No. Oh, he's not. When he doesn't want to go, he ain't going.
Okay.
So, he can put up a fight.
Isn't this the dog? Aren't the kids supposed to be responsible for the dog at this point? Well, yeah, but they could have.
So I said, Knox, if you don't
Hang on a second. He's an athlete.
I said, Knox,
is he really going to class?
Yeah, he is. I said, Knox, if you don't get in that crate, I'm going to punch you right in your face.
I'm calling the game on Friday night. I'm calling Spalding Calvert Hall.
Oh.
Friday. Oh, you're not. Oh boy. Oh boy. You seem concerned. What?
Yeah.
What?
Not sure how that one's going to go.
Uh-oh. Is that bad?
Spalding's really good.
Well, I don't know how good Spalding is, actually. They haven't been great. Their quarterback's really good.
But anyway, so I threatened him. I said, Knox, if you don't get in the crate, I'm going to punch you right in your face. And he got up, went in the crate.
That's
well done.
I know. I mean, like,
all right.
So
maybe you've discovered a new career.
Maybe Bill, dog tamer. Maybe Bill Burr was right, and you just need to threaten him. Anyway,
boy. All right. What do you have for us?
Well, we gotta go through this entire thing about the broadcasters celebrating with the team. We got to get into that. We got to get into that.
That's what you're worked up about?
I'm not worked up about anything. We can't lose any games.
Well, they did. They lost 4 last week.
But
and then all of a sudden
that was all to set this up.
Is that what it was?
No,
it was sort of like
sure.
pro wrestling?
Can't you see?
It was Dusty Rhodes going through hard times.
All right, let's talk about the most important thing of the weekend.
Okay.
Sean McVay.
What about him? The fact that he's betting on the games? Who
yes,
cares?
as the coach.
Who cares?
As the coach,
who cares?
Do you find it odd?
as a man who had the Rams to cover? No, not at all. God bless him.
When the announcer said, was it Matt Ryan and someone else?
No, they did the Ravens game.
Who were the announcers for? It was the A team, right?
Greg Olson.
It was their A team. It was
their A team is Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. That's their A team.
I thought that's who it was, but maybe not. But whoever it was said, "Well, I don't understand this." Because once they kick the field goal, the clock's going to expire.
It's going to game is going to be over.
The announcers called it, and then when the kick went in, who was it? Because whoever it was, the color analyst definitely knew the number.
What the spread was.
It was Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez.
Mark Sanchez, right?
Mark
Sanchez goes, "Oh boy!" As soon as it went in, he goes, and the announcer's like, "And it's good, and that's going to do it. It's 30-23." Mark Sanchez goes, "Oh boy!"
I had no beef. The one did you and I talk about the Penn State thing in the first week of the season? That to me is actually in this one. What really is he supposed to do? I mean that. That's the part that nobody wants to talk about.
Correct. And look, and here's also what I would say. As crazy as it sounds, because you see stuff in the NFL every week that looks nefarious, college football is ripe for it. It's ripe for it. I mean, the players at Alabama have been making millions for years, but the rest of these kids don't make any money. It's ripe for it.
Hang on a second. The
NFL, not so much.
Because I'm not telling you that it's impossible that at some point he was thinking about the spread, even if it wasn't because Sean McVay bet on the game, but just like, well, it'll look a little bit better.
Stick it up there. They thought we were
easy over there.
They thought we were underdogs.
Did you find Mark Sanchez? Is that
I believe
Griffin believes he's got the audio of Mark Sanchez.
I had something else.
Apparently,
yeah, and we know you did.
We'd rather let
careful.
you listen to an Imagine Dragons song.
Listen.
Kick for Maher is on the way, and that'll be the final play of the game. So the Rams put 3 on the board.
Okay.
What do you do?
That's San Francisco.
That's not bad.
By 7.
Oh, man. They're both laughing because they know, right? And they're kicking each other when the field goal's getting lined up. Sanchez is giving him the whole 7-point, he's holding up 7 fingers.
Okay, but my beat.
And I know what you're saying. What should he have done?
They're going to lose the game no matter what.
And if you go 8 levels down on the tiebreaker, if you go 8 levels down, I may be exaggerating, it might be 6. But if you go significantly down the tiebreaker ladder, there is a component in there for points scored and points against.
And what I would say is, if your argument is then they should run a play to the end zone, 1, the likelihood of that succeeding is slim to none at that point. 2, you're running the risk of getting a player hurt on a meaningless play to end the game.
Here's what I thought was odd. There were 2 things that I thought were odd. Number 1, how the Rams could possibly lose wearing those uniforms. Number 2, that no one asked him about it when the game was over.
Oh, that is weird. That is weird.
Not one person said, "Hey, by the way, Sean."
What was the thought? You don't even have to bring up the spread. You can just say, "What's the thought? What was the thought process on kicking the field goal when the game was clearly over?"
And here's what I think he would say. And if you watch the end of the Denver game, that should eliminate from any of your vocabulary forever. There's no use in playing this thing to the final whistle, right? If you saw what happened in the Denver game, Denver is one horrible call away from the thing going to overtime, right? They stole the game from them at the end. So here's what I think he thought. We're going to kick this field goal, and there's going to be one second left.
Right.
We're going to then kick the onside kick. It's going to hit their knee. It's going to bounce up to my guy, and he's going to run it in the end zone.
It's not impossible, right?
Well,
it's not.
It isn't impossible.
It's not impossible.
Is there
a
improbable finish
in the history of football? Yes, of course. Right.
But as a coach, that's how you think.
Correct.
Now, did it look suspicious to me that he just decided all of a sudden I'm going to kick this, kind of, sort of knowing it's only going to be there's no time going to be left? Sure, but I think he thought, I can get this thing down and through in 3 seconds, and it'll leave me 1 second. That's what I think he thought.
I think that's true, too. That's exactly what I think. And by the way, I brought that up when we were doing the hullabaloo with the Broncos and Vic Fangio, and everybody was like, well, they were still running plays when they're down 16.
Correct.
I'm like, because that's what you do. It's a 2-score game.
And I'm not.
You run plays when you're down.
And that's a little different, right? People were pissed off at him because the Ravens had a record of some sort.
But
right?
it wasn't one. It was a
it
made up make believe. Yes, it was some
that's
streak
what we got mad about. But that's what
team 100-yard rushing.
But that's what the fans got mad about. The fans got offended here because Fangio had the audacity to, in a meaningless situation at the end of the game, break the record.
No. Opposite. You're flipped two things. The Ravens ran a play after they had already won the game. All they had to do was take a knee. They recklessly ran a play to
extend the record.
To falsely
extend the record.
Get to 100 team rushing yards.
To extend the record. And to that I say that's your fault.
Well,
Denver.
I don't really care from the Denver side of things.
Okay.
The Denver side of things means nothing to me.
Your contention was
opposed
what if somebody blows out his ACL?
I was wildly opposed to it because it's reckless.
Okay, gotcha.
And for nothing.
Gotcha.
By the way, a week later, the streak ended against the Steelers in a game they won. They won. And so no one gave a rat's ass that streak ever existed. There was no human because it wasn't a real record.
John did.
For whatever goofy reason. If it was an actual record, right? Like if they did that because whoever the back would have been that day,
well, this
God
is
knows.
Though, because
but wait a second. The argument that was made was that Vic Fangio couldn't be mad about it because he was running plays when his team was down 16 with a minute left.
Right.
And my point was that's a 2-possession game. You have to run plays with a minute left.
Sure. Because
you might be able to score a touchdown, convert the 2, get an onside kick, score another touchdown, and convert the 2.
100%.
That's football, what Vic Fangio was doing. What the Ravens did was not football.
Right.
It was nonsense.
Right. Pursue glory. Right.
Not even, I wish it was glory.
Right.
It was nothing. But the point being, what you're saying about Sean McVay, 100% he could make that argument. Look, is it going to happen? Almost certainly not. But do we have to go through the motions of trying it? Yeah, we got to go through the motions.
Your argument would be if you throw the ball to that Nakua kid or whatever his name is, Nakua, and somebody takes his head off and he can't play for 4 weeks because you threw a ball across the middle of the field with 3 seconds left
in a meaningless game.
You were so that's your point, and I get that too.
Right.
So the answer is, what should he have done?
Either you take a knee or you do what you did.
Correct.
And I don't have any
And if you take a knee. If you take a knee, then the people that have the Rams are pissed off.
Right,
why do you kick a field goal?
You could have just kicked the field goal, 100%. Could have just done that.
Gambling, man.
It's ridiculous. Who does it? Do you remember the Penn State thing from week 1 when they played West Virginia? They were up if the spread was 17.
This is right out of Scott Van Pelt's wheelhouse.
They were up 15, or they were up 13, and the spread was 17. Something like that, where they're going to need to score a touchdown to cover the spread. With 30 seconds left, they had the ball on the opposing 13-yard line. They had gotten the last first down they needed. They could just take a knee and win the game.
Just sit on it.
And instead they went empty backfield. Empty effing backfield.
Does that have anything to do with some sort of Penn State-West Virginia rivalry?
It could have who knows what it has anything to do with.
But your contention
they'll argue it's about, it might be, we might need style points to get into
their backup quarterback was in. Penn State's backup quarterback was
They went empty backfield to try to get the guy murdered. at the end of the game to score another touchdown.
The spread was like 20.5. They were up by 16, I think.
They needed a touchdown.
There's
in order
nothing
to cover
better
the
than a
spread.
college basketball season when Van Pelt picks the 3 games.
God, it's beautiful.
And he's like, you're up by 11 with 37 seconds to go, and the spread's 3.5. You got it, right? And he goes through the whole thing, and you watch it in horror. As long as you didn't bet on it.
Yeah, correct.
You watch in horror.
Because you know what's about to happen, right?
One of these teams coughs up an 11-point advantage with 30 seconds left.
Oh, all right. So,
Did you have an opinion on the celebrating of the broadcasters?
I've never. Everybody does it. The PR team does it. The ticket taker.
I think that's different, but did you have
Why is it different?
Well, let me say this. First of all, I don't think it's different. And I wrote about it again today because I had some guy email me and say, aren't these people losing their objectivity?
There is no objectivity.
Correct. And that's pretty much what I said. And I'm trying to say this in the nicest way because I don't want Rob Long or Brett Hollander or any of those guys to not that they care what I think. They probably don't. But I don't
know. They care about some things, really. I've heard some things about it.
I don't want to offend them. And I'm not trying to offend them when I say they work for the team.
Correct. That's who employs them.
Their objectivity is already slighted.
I'm not.
It is.
I'm going to work.
And there's nothing wrong
I'm
with
going
that.
to work for Loyola tonight.
If they're losing by 27 points,
I'm going to try to. I don't think they're going to.
If they're losing by 4 or 5 goals,
I'm not going to start trashing them.
Tell you what, Greyhounds fans, this team stinks.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I work for them.
Right now, you might say. It's been a while since the Greyhounds got run out of the gym like this. This
100%.
has not been a good night for them. But you're not going to make it personal. So anyway, this whole thing about – so I will say there is something perceived to be different between people who work for the team and people who work with the team. I will say that I think that's different. But again, here's what I wrote Monday when everybody was – crashing and burning about it. It's the team's decision.
You got a weird group of people that are in your life. I have not had
on
one
social media
person
where I saw people talking
really?
about it. Yeah.
I have not seen a single person.
Oh, yeah, there were people, definitely yapping about it. But, again, it's the team's decision. If the team says to you, if you were doing analysis on if you were Rob or Jason on Oriole broadcasts, and the team said to you, hey, if we win today, we're going to have a little celebration downstairs. We want all the broadcasters and everybody to come down and be part of it. You would look out of place if you didn't do it. You would look out of place. Like, you would go down there and you would be part of it in whatever way you kind of see that everyone else is being a part of it. It doesn't mean you have to take your shirt off and run around and high-five people, but if the team brings you down there to take photos and T-shirts and there's a champagne getting sprayed, it would look odd if you weren't there.
I got to think about this.
Now, the times have changed because when I was in the soccer business, we didn't do that.
Right.
So Art Sinclair and Charlie Ekman would not have come into the locker room with us and celebrate.
Did they get their checks from you? Or did they get their checks from the radio station?
But they got them from WFBR. But
I do think that matters. But I think that matters in this. I do. I believe that matters in this conversation. Is who's paying you.
All these guys get paid by Masson.
And that's my point.
They don't get paid by the Orioles.
I think it's... But
they are the Orioles.
The Orioles. Stop. Masson's the Orioles.
Right.
There's no delineage there. They want you to believe that, but it's like when we got in a fight with Rock a couple of years ago, and he was mad at us. Masson's the Orioles. That's what they are. They're owned by the Orioles. Right. You're trying to come up with something to create some sort of shell, but it's not real.
I guess my
Masson is the Orioles.
I don't think it's a problem. I really don't. And the guy, Alan, who wrote me the email today, he's like, don't you think this brings their objectivity into question? And I'm like, their objectivity isn't there. They work for the team. You're not making them. You think they're any more jaded or less jaded now than they were 3 days ago? And it's not meant to be mean. It is what it is. Ask Jerry Sandusky.
Well, I don't know if it's. I don't think it's mean.
Right. Ask Jerry Sandusky when the Ravens win or lose.
Yes.
He's going to still fly on the team plane.
Right.
With the team. And stay at the team hotel.
Well, but this isn't like if you want to have a bigger question about the state of media and the state of allowing team employees to work for an independent, like to me, the bigger issue isn't that Jerry Sandusky would be part of a post-game celebration with the Ravens. The question is it okay for WBAL to present Jerry Sandusky on television as though he is some sort of journalist? Like, that to me is the question. Like, if we flipped it the other way around and said, and I don't even know who else Jason works for besides the radio station anymore, and said, and I don't even know if Jason was in the celebration, right?
I have no idea.
But if Jason was in dousing himself in champagne, would it be responsible for CBS or whoever it is to turn around and say, this man is an independent journalist? And my answer would be no, right? Like, that, to me, it's the flip side argument. It's not, you work for the team. You have, that's who employs you.
So do you think, and I'll give you an example.
But I feel differently about the radio station because I don't think the radio station is attempting to present. If they are, they're doing it. God bless, because I work there. The radio station isn't.
That does bring this question up. And I'm going to go back again. Everything's changed in the last 30 or 40 years. So when I bring this up, I'm by no means am I comparing this. I'm trying to paint this picture about how does it get handled. When Sandy McKee or Bill Free or Mike Preston or Doug Brown or Melody Simmons, Bill Glauber, John Hawkins, all of them.
I bumped into this summer in Ocean. Like, I was just out one night and we were all out drinking and watching. I wasn't drinking, but everybody else was out drinking and watching the game. Laura Vesey.
Oh.
I was just hanging out one night in Dewey Beach.
Well,
or Bethany Beach.
When they traveled to away games, there were occasions when they flew on our plane, and there were occasions when they didn't. Like sometimes if we were going like on a 3-game road trip and we were going like Dallas, L.A., Tacoma, we would leave a full day early. And sometimes they might fly out the morning of the game. Right. But there were times when they flew with the team, not by our direction, but by coincidence. Oh, there's a 2:00 flight. Hey, there's Sandy getting her ticket.
Kind of makes sense.
When we would leave get to the airport, and the bus would pick us up, she would be going to the same hotel as us.
Right, but she wouldn't ride the same bus.
She would not ride on the bus.
Understandable.
Right. I would say to Bill Tanton, Bob Maisel, Rosenthal, hey, love to take you to lunch. Talk about the blast. Right? It was a common practice.
But you got to pay for your own lunch.
No, I would have been more than happy to pay for the lunch. They wouldn't allow it. The son would say Sandy has to pay for her own lunch.
Right.
The bill would come and she'd be like, I got to give you $15.
Right. 100%.
Okay. So fast forward to now, is it incumbent upon the station to say, you guys can't be in there like that?
I disagree.
Listen to me.
Okay.
You guys can't be in there. By the way, I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm asking should the station be saying, you guys can't be in there? Because Monday morning, you're coming on the radio, Monday afternoon, you're coming on the radio, and the people listening expect you to be across the board, even-handed.
So I know exactly
what station responsible.
I know exactly what you're leaning into, and I think it's different for a radio talk show host than it is for a reporter. I know that we blur lines, and sometimes as talk show hosts we would report things that we knew. We would say that. But the rules of being a radio talk show host are not the same to me as being an actual journalist, right?
Okay.
They're not. And
I would agree with
in
that.
the same way that I would openly acknowledge that we rooted for the teams. Like, that we had no qualms.
For sure. I told John Harbaugh that.
100%.
John, you think I want you to lose?
Correct.
You're insane.
100%.
I want you to win.
I don't believe the rules for a radio talk show host.
Even though the radio was better when you lost. There's the dichotomy.
The content might have been better, but you and I both know this. This is when everybody says, well, you want the team to lose. You and I both know the truth, which is that
I made more money when the team won.
100%.
Well, let me rephrase that.
Well, we were supposed to.
I was supposed to make more money when the team won.
Right. There was far better civic investment when the team won, right? Like, that's the way that it works.
There was always one treat when they lost.
Merton, right? Yeah, you always. God, they're playing this week.
There was always one treat when they lost. I'll never forget that playoff game.
Shoot.
I'll never forget that playoff game in Indianapolis.
Do you know?
I've never known.
I would actually like to have Merton call in.
I've never known. People always said, I'm like, I'd
like to give Merton the hotline number somehow.
I've never known.
And give him an option to call him.
I've never known. But I remember that when they lost the playoff game to the Colts, and I looked over at you, and we had a 9-hour bus ride back home, and I said, well, there is one blessing. Yeah. All we got to do is get through 6 to 8:30 tomorrow.
That phone's
8:30 to 10.
That phone's going to ring.
And it didn't even take till 8:30. I think the next day he called it like 8. Called early.
Andrew. Let him sing! Andrew. Let him sing!
You would yell back. I would be like, all right, enough's enough. This guy's got to go. Glenn, cut this guy off. Meanwhile, I got the whole board right in front of me. I'm like, Glenn.
100%. Yeah, Drew had all the ability in the world.
I'm like, Glenn, get rid of this guy.
It was a routine. I didn't know the guy, and we had a routine down.
Oh.
As soon as we got to that moment, I had to start shouting out, "Let him sing!" Indianapolis
It was a total wrestling skit.
Number one.
It was a total wrestling skit. And
No one knew who was under the mask.
No one knew who was under the mask.
There was no moment in my life better than John.
No doubt.
Damn.
No doubt.
I've never been.
As soon as I said it, when he said Johnny, I said, Johnny who? He goes, exactly. I fell right into it. That was like a wrestling skit, and I fell for it.
It really was. It was amazing. That was an amazing day.
So
yeah.
I'm on
saying
the other side of the
feel
fence here.
differently.
I do think these people should be in there, and I do think.
Well, but hang on a second, because I do feel differently about it. And they can be mad at me, and hell, I don't know. They've tried hiring me in a couple times. I never did. They can be mad at me all they want. I don't feel the same way about Jerry Sandusky. Like, I think that when WBAL puts him on television and tries to present him as some sort of neutral,
but he's the play-by-play guy.
I understand that, but that's at some point that we have to have a choice. You're not a neutral observer. You're not. And while Jerry Sandusky had no problems,
Jerry would also never break a story.
It's not just that he would never.
He couldn't or wouldn't.
Not about the Ravens, no,
right.
100%.
Right.
And that, to me, is the bigger problem. And also, when the Ray Rice situation is unfolding, when there's real, when that's what the sports news is, when it's not just reporting what the score was between Morgan and Coppin last night, when it requires some teeth, it would be shameful for them to allow Jerry Sandusky to be the one. Now, they might get around it by saying, well, technically, we pay Jerry. The Ravens don't. But I don't think that's the case. I think Jerry has a position with the Baltimore Ravens and works for them even on non-game days. I think he does.
He's got
other
some sort
events.
of broadcasting affiliation with them where
he's
involved with their.
So
I don't even know. I shouldn't even say that.
I like Jerry. This is not a knock at Jerry by any stretch of imagination, but I do think that it's shameful.
We haven't had to have this discussion in a long time.
That's a great point. He is being presented as a reporter of the news. And that, to me, is different than someone who is a talk show host.
Gotcha.
A talk show host is an entertainer to me. A reporter is supposed to be someone who has that there is supposed to be a separation between church and state there. So that, to me, is far more meaningful than the conversation about a talk show host who's involved. But
are we going to lose another game this year?
Probably. I don't know.
You sure?
If Kyle Bradish can't go 9 innings today, I don't know who's going to pitch.
Wait, which team? I don't think either team.
Or the Ravens.
Well, the Ravens might.
The Ravens going to be favored in every game they play until San Francisco.
This AFC North is hard.
By the way, that's a straight shoot.
Oh,
if they stay healthy,
I tweeted this out.
The Ravens will be favored in every game.
I was totally serious. These two teams could be undefeated on Christmas night.
Probably no. They're not going to be. But I get it. Watch and see. You say, watch and see. They won't be, but I understand.
Who's San Francisco's schedule?
I don't know.
Dude, how good do they look?
They look incredible. But you say that.
Oh.
I understand, but you still see it in Purdy where he's not Kurt Warner, right?
Who they play?
He's good. They have the Giants on Thursday night.
Okay, that's a win.
Cardinals,
where's that game?
At home.
Oh, that's a win. Okay, 3-0.
3 straight home games. Cardinals at home. The Cowboys at home
5-0.
Yeah,
5-0.
Okay, I would tell you that because it's at home, I absolutely agree that they'll be favored.
Is that one on TV?
That one actually is, I think, a Sunday night game.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
I was joking.
Well, but unlike all the other, have you looked at the Sunday night football schedule?
It's terrible.
Dreadful.
I have no idea what they were thinking about.
It's almost like it was a bit where they were trying, where YouTube.
Is it true Jacksonville's never been on Sunday Night Football? Is that true?
Never. Well, that's not. Maybe since it went to NBC, we know.
Oh, okay, yes.
We
I
know
guess that's what it is.
Their playoff game was technically.
Yeah, but that's not. That doesn't
that's
count.
what it is.
Right.
It's NBC.
Since they've gone to NBC, Jacksonville's never. That actually kind of makes sense if we do the math on when NBC took over Sunday Night Football. But yeah, it's bad this year.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And I really am convinced that it was YouTube went to the NFL and said, we need better games to not be on national broadcast windows because we need to try to sell people buying the ticket now that we've moved it over to YouTube. I'm convinced there's something there.
I could see the Lions giving the Ravens a run for their money in Baltimore next month.
Right. Well, I mean, we say that. Last week was, of course, proof of why you don't bet on football.
But that's why.
Yeah, I get it.
That was the easiest call of the year. The Lions went and beat the Chiefs, and were definitely going to come home and lose the next game.
Oh, that's just the way it was going to work?
Of course.
Yeah, it's football.
It's the same thing with the Browns. The Browns were never winning that game. Now, they would have won if the boy's knee wouldn't have got blown up. But
probably.
They would have won.
Probably, although Deshaun Watson stinks.
He's terrible.
He stinks.
Both of those teams are terrible.
I'm not sure.
Both of those teams are terrible.
By the way,
I'm
fine.
telling
That's
you
Griffin.
something.
That's fine.
The Bengals are no good.
No, that's not true.
Put this down on
That's
your
not
fancy
true.
computer there, kid.
We're going to go back to putting things on the record?
Yeah.
Is that what you got
Burrow-
to? But hang on a second. This is what you're bad at. You try to put something on the record, but you have no stake in it.
Well, I'll put stake in this.
You
Burrow
going to take
will
me
not,
out for a steak?
Burrow will not finish the season.
Well, what does that mean?
He'll be hurt. He won't finish there because of an injury.
But does that mean he's going to miss time at some point, or specifically
No.
at the
He
end
won't.
of the year?
At the end of the year, he will not be playing. He'll be gone by the end.
And if he is, you're doing what?
I'll go to Asian Kitchen and have a big lunch.
That's what you do every day. It's no different than any other. It's just called
You
Tuesday.
said come up with something.
Right,
I said
it's
I
called
would.
Tuesday. That's not a state.
Burrow will not finish the year.
I mean, that's
And I would almost double down on that and say they won't win 11 games. I don't even think they'll win 10 games.
all right. That I think you're being reckless now.
No, not. They won't win 10 games.
Well, by the way, but Joe Burrow is sat down in 3 weeks.
Did you
Of
watch
course
him the
that's
other day? They should have beat the Ravens 40-14. They're terrible.
Wait a second. What are you saying?
We didn't have half the team.
That part I agree with, but they were humping the ball pretty well in the second
They're
half.
terrible.
You keep saying that they're terrible. I watched the
By
second
the way,
half.
the Washington kid, where was the pothole? He
Yeah,
stepped
that's a
in?
weird bit, right?
Where was that pothole?
No, that wouldn't be a pod. He was too helpful. There's no way.
Helpful. Every time they threw the ball to T. Higgins, he caught it.
I understand that, but they don't have anybody.
5'8".
If he's not playing, Arthur Millette has to play.
I got news for you.
Yeah.
He's playing this week.
I understand that.
Well, this
It
week's
did completely
this
come out
week's
of
a
nowhere.
freebie.
didn't it? Yeah, it's true. Well, you say that.
Oh, this week's a
The
freebie.
Colts scored some points last week. This is you. This is
not
you
losing-
running into that.
We're not
Go
losing to
ahead.
Anthony Richardson at home.
Well, I don't know if Anthony
He might
Richardson's
even
going to
play,
play.
yeah.
Oh, who's playing? Minshew?
It'd be Minshew.
We're not
yeah.
losing to him either.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew.
I don't care what you say.
All right.
We're not losing to Charlie Batch.
Not losing.
Charlie
Duke,
Batch
I know
is
that
not
much.
coming to
Definitely
Baltimore
not
and
coming
winning
to Baltimore
a
and
meaningful
winning.
game.
Not going to happen. No way. Although every time he did, the Ravens won the Super Bowl, so they got that going for him, which is nice. All right, when we come back in, we're going to play Would You Rather Wednesday. Today's show.
Why do we do that so early now?
I mean, it's so early. We only paid till 11. I think we're going to pay it till 11:15 today. And then we're
Well,
going
I get the whole hour. I mean, I
Yeah,
can
you
leave
showed
11,
up at 10:15.
but I get the whole hour between 11 and 12, even if I leave 11:15.
Oh, no. You showed up late, so you're not getting paid for the first hour. You're only getting paid for the
Knox
second
is going to
hour.
pay for that.
Who's Knox? The
My
dog.
dog.
That's your dog.
Punch him right in the face.
Well, that's. I don't know if we're supposed to say that.
What's the threat?
It's the threat,
You don't,
right?
you don't really punch
Right.
him. You just threaten them. That's what's wrong with the kids today.
If you missed it, Stan the Fan, Charles Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson got together on Monday night to talk baseball. You can find it Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. There's some up front if you want to try one.
What is it?
It's a pumpkin spiced wipe. You could use it for your
Wipe for what?
for.
Heine?
That's how I used it yesterday.
What are
You
these
could
here
use. I
for?
also used it for my hands.
What are they here for?
They were here for a side bet that was really disappointing. It was really disappointing. So now we're just wipes.
Back in the day, we found the dude products out of our apartment in Chicago.
This is the
Boy,
part
that,
of the program. I
that
was trying to do a
sounds-
read, and
that
instead
sa-
he's going to do a read for dude wipes.
That sounds like a real entrepreneurial thing there.
No, there's an open box out front.
It says pumpkin spice.
I understand. Go. They're sitting on the front desk.
All right, calm down.
Go get him some wipes.
Calmer
Griffin.
than you are.
That's Griffin's going to go get you some wipes so you can experience the pumpkin
breaking
spice
now, or-
wipes. Yes, we're going to grab a break.
Calmer than you are.
Watch Stan, youtube.com/pressbox on.
Get you a toe.
I've already forgotten what it is.
Get you a toe by 3 o'clock.
PressBoxOnline.com/video. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The Maryland 5-Star returns to iconic Fair Hill October 19th to 22nd, marking the next chapter in Maryland's equestrian tradition. Best described as the triathlon of horse eventing, you won't want to miss this thrilling sport. Enjoy a fall festival with local fare, retail vendors, and tons of family fun. Come for the event and stay for the experience in Cecil County, home to the Chesapeake Bay waterfront with vibrant small towns and accommodations to suit every desire. It's the place to be in October. Visit Maryland5star.us for tickets.
It's a Maryland thing you wouldn't understand. Where the waves meet the shore, you will find Dorchester County. Hi, this is Jimmy Charles. When I think of Maryland, I think Dorchester County on the eastern shore where it's open for making memories. Dorchester County, it's a Maryland thing. For more info, visit www.visitdorchester.org. It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah. It's a Maryland thing.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to pressboxonline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of Pressbox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org. The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, September 26th at Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
All electronic tolling is here to stay in Maryland, and DriveEasyMD.com helps you cruise a little easier. We're Maryland's tolling resource, home to Easy Pass, pay-by-plate, and video tolling. It's never been easier to pay your way. DriveEasyMD.com will keep you moving.
Make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox Fantasy Football analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Kahn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
All right, back in here on GCR. Drew Forrester is here in studio with us, drewsmorningdish.com. I'm stunned that we're 8 days away from the start and you haven't started screaming to me about the
Ryder.
Ryder
Got a whole
Cup?
special coming up.
Does it start on Wednesday or on Thursday?
Bite your tongue. It starts on Friday.
It's only a 3-day thing?
Well, Thursday is the opening ceremonies.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be
Which, of course,
I'll be watching that. It's the speeches, captain speeches, the whole thing.
Of course he does. Drew's sitting there,
think we're winning.
pantsless, watching the Ryder.
I'm not.
Yeah, he's
not
all right, I'm sorry.
The first day,
completely naked. I apologize.
I don't think we're winning.
Do you just kick the kids out of the house for a couple of days?
No, it's mandatory watching in the house for everybody.
Well, then isn't it awkward that you're naked?
No,
they're just used to it at this point.
And golf's on. Dad doesn't have any clothes on again.
Did you see the guy? Hang on a second. Did you see the guy wandering around the Dallas airport yesterday?
No.
Oh my God!
Naked?
Hang on a second. Yes.
Naked in the airport?
Yes, 100%. I'm so mad that I forgot to include this somehow in Would You Rather Wednesday. I really screwed up here.
I haven't followed. And I know this is dangerous.
Okay, hang on a second.
This is dangerous.
Dude, you have to see this.
This is dangerous for me to...
This is in the Dallas airport yesterday. The guy's just walking around naked.
And nobody's doing it?
You sure he's naked?
I mean,
or
I guess
it's not an outfit.
I mean...
you can't see the front of him.
Yeah, I don't think they chose... I think that's called revenge porn. I don't think they're allowed to show the front of him.
What's he doing?
He's just walking around,
but
having
what
a day.
To it?
Actually, the video is great because the guy that's filming, the guy's wife is like, "Do not film that," And he's like, what? There's a naked guy walking around the Dallas airport.
But what happened?
Did you find it?
I think I did.
Hang on, pull this. The video is actually great. I mean, you got to see it.
What happened?
The audio is not. Go ahead. You got it? I thought you said you had it.
I was trying to restart it. Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Record
Do
it.
not record this. Do not record this.
There's a naked guy in the airport.
Stop it.
Yes, there is.
The guy says back, yes,
My
there
man.
is.
I don't
Record it.
understand. Did they arrest him?
I don't know. I haven't been able to get to the bottom of the story.
So tell me,
Griffin, you be our Jerry Sandusky.
Yeah,
You do
right.
some reporting here.
and I know this is a slippery slope, but I'm
or
very.
or are you not partial because you are representative of the naked man in the airport?
I mean,
I know this is a slippery slope, and I apologize in advance for not really knowing.
Okay.
And I don't.
Well, that's never stopped you before.
I know, and I don't really know that I'm getting the right answer on the internet, which I know is a surprise. Give me the 30-second elevator. Tell me the story with this woman.
Nope. We'll get to it.
politician.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Okay.
It'll come back up. Do not.
Because I don't know what
Will,
happened.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
he was taken into custody.
Oh, he was taken into
Yes.
custody.
Can I just ask
Thank
this?
But now I'm going to ask this question. On behalf of naked Americans, where are you allowed to be naked anymore?
Right.
Where, if we can't
let
be
me-
naked,
Let me ask you
we
this.
all know how miserable the airport experience is. They make you take all your clothes off in order to
Anyway,
go through
right.
security.
Let me ask you this. And I'm serious because I don't know the answer, but I think I do, but I want to make sure. She is a woman, right? That's not part of this is not a she's a very attractive. She's a woman, right?
I just told you to leave it alone. Coming back to it. Would you stop?
I need to follow politics more.
Yeah, right. If you're saying that because all of a sudden there's an attractive woman involved in politics.
But I don't. But is she?
All right. Settle down. Settle
right.
down. Settle down. Keep it. Unlike her, keep it in your pants.
So is that what happened?
Stop, guy.
Damn.
Drew Forrester's here. Today's show is brought to you by the
Gotta go
print
to the
issue
movie.
of
I
Press.
gotta go to the movies more often.
It wasn't the movie; it was the theater.
Oh.
It's brought to you by the print issue of Press Box.
Is that the
See
new
Lamar
one?
Yeah, it is the new one. Now we enter the portion of the
Let me
program
see.
where Drew just
No,
reads
we've
the
seen
Press
this one
Box
already.
instead of doing the show.
I've seen this one.
Lamar Jackson on the cover. Great cover story from Bo Smolka as
Saw that,
the Ravens move into
Bo
the
Smolka.
contract era with Lamar Jack. You still mad because his kid doesn't play golf for you? Is that what it is?
Never forgive him for that.
There you go. Go pick it up today for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town. Or read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. Would You Rather Wednesday is brought to you by Birdland Sports. Someone who participates today will win a T-shirt of their choice from our friends at Birdland Sports. I have 4 scenarios for you today for Would You Rather Wednesday. Numero uno. Would you rather? I got the baseball genie. He's approached you. Yes. He said, I can guarantee you the Orioles will make the World Series this year.
Okay.
But I will not guarantee you the result.
Okay.
Or they're going to lose in round 1 of the playoffs. But on this date, next year, they will have clinched the AL East. Jackson Holliday will be the runaway rookie of the year. Gunnar will be a top 3 MVP candidate.
By the way, he already is this year.
I understand. Well, he
is.
should be. He should be.
It's Ohtani, Rodriguez, and Henderson.
Grayson,
You tell me who's in there above those.
Grayson Rodriguez, Kyle Bradish, and John Means will all have all-star caliber seasons.
Okay.
Felix Bautista will be back, and everyone will be healthy.
Or they go to the World Series this year?
Or they go to the World Series this year.
I'll take this year.
Why?
I think it's too good to pass up.
You don't feel strongly that the team that they would be facing in the World Series would have a serious advantage over them?
Not concerned because I don't know who that'll be. And I'm not so sure it'll even be Atlanta.
Might be the Marlins.
Yeah, it might be. I'm going to guess it won't be.
Well, you just beat them 3 straight this past weekend and clobbered them.
I understand.
There's no guarantee it's going to be the Braves. I'll take this year.
Okay.
I think I want to. Man, I mean that's a pretty good deal for
Sophie's choice, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
And then if I say I take next year, we just roll the dice on this season, whatever happens.
No, I said they're going to lose in round 1.
No, they have to lose.
They're going to lose in round 1 this year, but you get all those things next year, or they make the World Series this year.
But then there's no guarantee you make the World Series next year.
There's no guarantee, but you'll be in damn good shape.
Yeah, it seems like you'll be in damn good shape. I want to go to the World Series this year.
Okay.
I want to go.
You sound like a 12-year-old
Yeah.
boy. I have to have it now. Now. The only reason why I don't like it this year is because I do think whether it's I think the Braves or the Dodgers, I don't like my chances there. I just don't like them. And if I can come back next year, I was talking about this with our buddy Josh Charles last night. Like if Grayson Rodriguez and John Means could be guarantees to pitch well throughout the playoffs, and you had a healthy Felix Bautista, I would genuinely believe this team has a chance to win the World Series. Without Bautista,
well, he's going to pitch again. Yeah. I mean, his arm's going to fall off, but he's going to pitch again.
Maybe. We'll see.
I'll bet you that right now.
At this point, I probably agree with you at this point. By the way, did you try the wipes?
I did.
What'd you think?
Very pumpkin-y.
I really like them. I really like those wipes.
Very pumpkin-y.
I really think they're quite good. At this point, I think you're probably right that Felix Bautista, they're going to try, right? Sure. Although there is still a part of me that says what they're really doing is telling him we're not saying no, but when they actually have him start pitching in heat, then they might sort of say, I don't know. I
mean, you say that, but he might.
I know it's possible.
2 teams out, and it might be the difference in them winning.
It's possible, totally possible.
Before his arm blows up.
That's just all. It's too much. The other side of it is too much. Like, by the way, I also if
he gets Tommy John surgery today or in a month, what's the difference?
I agree with that part. I'm not talking about Felix Bautista. I'm talking about the scenario now.
Oh.
I almost added in that they would also have re-signed a player.
That might.
And then I was like, I feel like that tips it.
Better re-sign Henderson.
Well, I don't.
Now.
I think Scott
late.
Boras is gonna. Yeah, Scott Boras has got some bad news for you about that.
You don't think if they offered him $200 million right now for 7 years?
Yeah, I think if they overpaid, yes, that there would be a chance. But that's the problem. Is you think the Orioles are going to be the team that's going to break the one thing that's always mattered in these conversations is what money you would have made in arbitration. That we're not going to pay you beyond that. We'll tack on extra years, but we're not going to overpay what you would be making in arbitration. And I don't think the Orioles are going to be a team that busts that system. I don't think that's going to be the case. So I just don't think
this is the best baseball player they've had since Eddie Murray.
That's an interesting.
Here all day and all you want.
No, because we can.
The best player they've had since Eddie Murray.
Potentially. Well, I don't think he is
who's
yet.
Better.
Well, I think again it's in small doses. I think that not Roberto Alomar's season where he was hitting 400. We haven't seen anything like that.
He was our player.
But that's a different.
He's not our player.
Okay, then
this
measure
is the best player
that they brought
the
up.
Orioles have ever groomed since Eddie Murray.
He's awfully close to surpassing Manny Machado. But no,
please.
Just stop it. Manny Machado is a better. You're just saying things now because you don't like Manny Machado. Manny Machado is a better defensive player, as good as Gunnar Henderson is, and he is a good defensive player. But Manny Machado was most certainly a better defensive player when he was in Baltimore. He also was a better power hitter than Gunnar Henderson was. Now, do I think that Gunnar Henderson's hit tool is better than Manny Machado's? Absolutely.
Record that.
What?
Gunnar Henderson's tool is better than Manny
I said
Machado.
hit tool.
Calm
down
over
there.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I know you got very excited
Record
about
that. That's one for the archives.
Gunnar Henderson's hit tool is absolutely, well, I say absolutely. I think is better than Manny Machado's.
You can have Machado, and I'll take Henderson, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
By the way,
you can watch the games at home like he's going to do again.
What does this have to do with the conversation that we're having?
I just love Gunnar Henderson.
I don't blame you for that. I think that he is in that conversation.
So good, it's insane.
And I think that in 2 years, I might be saying he's the best player that the Orioles have ever had, right? Like, I think it's possible. I understand.
In 2 years, you could say, you know what, Drisky?
You were right.
You were right.
Yeah, well.
Which I know that ain't
have
gonna
I
happen.
ever said those words?
I was going to say, I know that's not
going
to happen.
Occur? Get breakout in hives. Number 2. Have you
what was
heard?
number 1?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Number 2.
Number 2. Have you heard the good news? Likely to have some big celebrities in Baltimore soon.
No.
You haven't heard? Odell Beckham's apparently dating.
He's hanging out.
Yeah, hanging out. Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
So would you
weren't
rather?
they a thing before or no? No? I don't even follow that.
I don't
follow
so.
pop culture, really. Is what's his name dating Taylor Swift?
Travis
Is that
Kelce?
on the up and up?
Yeah, it's apparently. I think his brother confirmed it. Would
Man,
you rather?
She is lucky.
I agree with that. He is a sculpted.
He is really.
He is a real.
That girl is.
I think he could do better. I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think he could do better with less baggage. But as far as someone who's got a lot of money,
yeah, right. That's what I
like
mean.
that.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, right. That part of it's doing quite well.
Shake it off.
Okay, that's what you got for us. That was your pick. Did you hear Ian on?
Kardashian?
Did you hear Ian on Sunday?
No.
That Travis Kelce found the blank space in the end zone.
Right.
Not bad. All right. So would you rather? You got a new job.
Okay. So which Kardashian is it?
No, it's
I don't
Kim.
even know who they are.
Kim Kardashian.
Okay.
Is the one. Would you rather your next job is working as personal assistant to the Kardashian family?
Okay.
After they move here to Baltimore.
I got one question about this. Are these girls the daughter of the attorney?
Yes.
Or nieces? The daughter?
Yes. The first three, the first two, because Chloe I think had a different dad. The first two were daughters of Robert Kardashian.
And he was one of OJ's. He was the balding Italian-looking dude.
Yes, he was the Italian-looking dude.
Okay.
He was the one that played by David Schwimmer, right?
Okay, gotcha.
If I remember correctly.
So they're his daughters.
They are his daughters.
So that's kind of how they
that's
got their
money
first
came
steps
from?
of fame.
Ish. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ish.
And they're I know. Again, this is
We
dumb.
can do-
I'm not into pop culture.
You want me to give a Kardashian family history lesson? I don't think I
into
have
pop culture. And they're both very attractive, Hollywoodish.
Yes, they're all they're A-list.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean,
All right, go ahead.
But for being models, they don't act. They have a reality show and they're models. And they're social media influencers.
Oh, gotcha. Right. Okay. They're not Jennifer Lopez.
No.
Who's a legitimate actress.
Right. And a musician.
And a singer.
Right. Correct.
Okay. All right.
So you got to be this is maybe not a good one for you if you don't know about the Kardashians.
I just don't.
This might be awkward.
But it's okay.
Be the personal assistant to the Kardashian family.
Okay.
Or personal assistant to John Angelos.
Oh, this isn't even close.
Yeah.
Is he still alive, by the way, the dad?
No longer with us.
He's not alive?
It's been years.
Oh, those girls for sure.
I think this is speaking to your ignorance.
Why?
I think the way that
nuts?
you so easily answer that question. Like, I'm not saying it might not be the answer, but to suggest it's an easy answer.
Are they going to snap their fingers at me when they want something?
I think it might
John
be.
Angelos is.
I think it's going to be more like they're going to ask, like, I want, this Italian chocolate.
Yeah, I want three ponies, and I want them now.
Sure.
Like, and
Can I have the credit card?
You got to.
Can I get the credit card?
I mean,
or do I already have the credit card?
There is that.
Yeah.
I'm really good at spending other people's money.
I don't know that they're pleasant people to be around.
What's my salary?
It's the same either way.
The girls. You want to be around John Angelos? Be honest.
I don't want to be. I'm gonna pick the Kardashians. I think.
I know you've got to walk the walk here a little bit.
No, I don't have to walk the walk. I can answer the question
no
legitimately.
one wants to be around that guy.
I had a couple people.
And their dog.
I had a couple people in the responses who brought up that, like,
starting
at least you'd be able to be around the games. Like, at least you'd be able to be
Yeah.
around things that you enjoyed.
Until you got fired.
But yeah, but I'm not. You're not that. You see, you're adding things.
I'll be in
I'm
the
just
Kardashian
saying-
suite at every Ravens game. I mean,
Right there maybe is that.
So is Beckham nuts too? Is that what we're learning from this or gleaning from this?
Has anyone
I think
has
he's just-
anyone came out on the other side of
he's just a.
and just been okay? Has anyone come out on the other side?
What do you mean?
I'm saying,
Oh, you mean of
have
her?
Any of
who
the
else did she date?
Of any of the exes?
Okay, so who are they? I don't even know.
I mean, Kanye's a psychopath. Like,
And
Kanye
he
West
went
is
out with this girl?
married her.
Is Chris Humphries doing okay?
This girl.
Yes. How's Chris Humphries doing?
Yes,
Kanye
Kim,
West, the one that
was
Odell
married to
Beckham.
this
Yes,
girl.
the one that Odell Beckham is dating is the one that Kanye West was married.
I don't
to.
know that I could. I don't think I would want to get the text from Kanye.
Oh, I think he threatened to kill Pete Davidson when they were dating.
No, but I was talking about
Pete's
other
doing okay.
texts.
Is he? Is Pete Davidson doing okay,
I
Griffin?
was talking about other texts.
Oh,
you know, like,
got you.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to entertain
See?
those.
Right? Just don't want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanye West.
Hey,
Pete
I got a picture to
Pete
show you.
Davidson.
Hey,
I guess Reggie Bush is doing all right.
He was with him?
Just Kim?
Yeah.
Or
He was
just
with him?
any of the Kardashians?
Oh, you're going to expand it out
Yeah,
further
yeah.
because
I mean,
it's
'cause
not
none of
going
them- it
not
doesn't
going
get
so well
better.
for
I don't
Lamar
know.
Odom.
Let's get to the politician.
Hang on, settle down.
All right.
I don't know, man. It is we might want to reconsider whether or not we're okay with this.
Let's get to the politician.
We might want to think about that a little bit more. Number 3 is
Kardashians
not.
is the answer.
Yeah,
Keep
it
saying-
is.
I
It
am
is the
not.
answer.
I am not nearly as convinced of that as you are.
I think
you are
Glenn's in
far
love with
more-
John Angelos.
Well, you've
That's
worked for
definitely
one,
not what
you've
it
worked
is.
for one maniac already. I mean,
Yeah,
have
right.
you-
I have some history
have
there.
you seen
I
what
have
that's
some
like?
history. Like I'm better prepared for this.
Right.
Number 3, would you rather the Orioles have invited you to be?
Been plenty of times when there's been 5 guys in a hotel room.
Yeah, right.
Pick a corner over
Yeah,
there.
Correct. You're good. Wait, so I'm supposed to sleep in the same bed as?
Right.
As Ryan Chell, that was
Right.
what you thought I was going to do this week. I think I'm good.
You think we're made of money here?
Yeah.
Grab a sleeping bag and lay down.
100%. The Orioles have invited you to be part
While
of
I
their
do yoga.
Scream it. Scream at someone on the phone.
Oh,
God, it was the greatest.
Don't even start.
Greatest scene I've ever
That
walked
one-
in on my entire life.
That one
God, I've never seen it.
was right out of.
Drew and I walked into a room once.
Oh, my God.
Where at the exact same time, one party was screaming bloody murder in a phone call, while the other party was trying to sweet talk a woman he had met the night before
to come up to the room.
Coming
up to the room with 5 of us there.
Baby.
Yeah, I've never felt anything like this in my life.
God, it was amazing.
I've had a lot of girlfriends. I've never felt this kind of attraction to anybody.
Meanwhile,
listen, get on the plane,
or I'm going to kill you. You won't ever work in this business again?
I'm so confused.
God, okay, we'll do it for him. We'll perform.
No,
it.
it's okay.
Who do you want to be?
Let's go to the politician.
Hang on, we're not there yet. Number 3, the Orioles have invited you to be part of their next champagne party in the clubhouse. When they clinch the division. If you play the role of Heston Kjerstad, who, if you missed it, was kind of initiated during the last.
I can't believe somebody had been suspended for this.
Heston Kjerstad,
as soft as we become in this country,
was stuffed into a shopping cart and then doused in smoothie and olive oil and ketchup and quote-unquote other fluids.
Other fluids.
See, at Michigan State, the coach gets fired for this.
Now, easy
at
over.
Northwestern, they shut the program
Easy
down.
over
But it's
there.
okay with the Orioles.
Easy over there. If you're willing to play the role of Heston Kjerstad and be stuffed into a shopping cart for the first 15 minutes of the celebration and be doused in other fluids and all of those things, you can be a part of the celebration. Or, you know what? I can watch it from home.
I wonder what Ryan McKenna was thinking after spending 120 of the 145 games with the team.
They got nice restaurants in Norfolk.
And then, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time I sat in a shopping cart.
Yeah, right? Been doused in fluids. Right. You went to Glen Burnie. They called that Thursday.
I want to be part of the champagne thing.
It is like the ultimate thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it is the ultimate experience is to be a part of one.
Yeah, I want to be in that.
All right.
As long as the fluids
I mean, for God's sakes, Griffin. I don't even need to ask
As long as the fluids aren't unhealthy.
Griffin's like 15 minutes. I'll do it for 5 hours. I think I'm going to pass.
No, come on.
It'd be cool to be a part of it, but
We popped champagne after we won our national title in dodgeball.
Did you though?
It was awesome.
Did you though?
It was great.
What do you
snowing
have?
in Michigan.
You have 2 bottles of champagne.
No, we had like 6 or 7.
Okay, there you go.
It was legit.
It was exhilarating. I actually did. So when we showed up on our honeymoon, everything's it's all inclusive, right? So in the room there are bottles of champagne, and I was like, "Welp, I know it's about to happen." We proceeded. I told my wife, "Get in the shower," and we doused each other with shit because I just always wanted to know what it felt like. That was great. And number 4, Drew, would you rather have spent the last week as the guy who went to the theater with the United States Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, or I'm not sure if you saw this yet or not, as the Iowa cheerleader whose pants fell down mid-routine?
Let me see the cheerleader.
All right. This is
it's
from
a guy.
the
Never mind.
Iowa.
Sorry.
This is from the Iowa Penn State football game on. I think that's who they play. No, that's this week.
We're not going to see everything.
I don't know who they play.
Iowa played.
No, this is right in the middle of it. There go his pants. There. Now that was smooth pulling him back up, but there go his pants in the middle of it. So he's got to go to class. He's got to go to school. He's got to spend the week everywhere as the guy whose pants fell down all week, or spend the week as the guy who went to the theater with Lauren Boebert.
Okay, so now we have to get to – this is what I don't understand.
Yes.
Tell me the true story, not the Republican side of it or the Democratic side of it. Tell me what happened.
They went to see Beetlejuice, the musical.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. Are they dating?
No.
Okay.
To my knowledge.
But are they both single?
Oh, she is mid-divorce, apparently.
Okay. Okay, continue.
That's all you needed to know?
Well,
They went to the theater.
Okay.
They were apparently very excited about being at the theater.
Okay.
She was vaping, which was not
which is against the
you're not supposed to do that, right?
And vaping meaning
just tobacco to our knowledge. We don't know that it was anything besides tobacco. All we know is tobacco.
Okay.
And he started getting a little handsy.
He did.
And then she started getting a little handsy.
So they got kicked.
They were removed from the theater.
For what reason?
You're not.
Well, you're vaping, and
you don't think that you're allowed to just start like fornicating in a?
Well, they weren't doing that.
Yeah, but it was. Do you think that you're allowed to? Oh boy, I can't believe we're having this conversation.
So again, depending on which side of the ledger this is on.
Like, don't get me wrong. I was 16 once too.
Okay, but
and went to see Mission Impossible 2.
Okay, but hold on. What was she?
It was all over It was all over the clothes. Yes.
Okay.
All over the clothes.
Okay, so that's important.
Is it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't exposed.
He was not exposed.
Much you see about nothing.
You're good. You're good now.
It's a movie theater. You're supposed to do that kind of stuff.
It's a Broadway theater.
It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
What else you going to do?
It's not the same thing. Watch the play?
Play's boring.
What? Why did you go?
So who do you? What was your question? Because I know the answer.
You'd rather be the gentleman that spent the evening with
no question.
Mrs. Bober.
Have you seen her?
She's lovely.
And what is she?
She's crazy.
And what is she?
Oh, she is. She's like, if it's right, she's over here. Like, she's as far right as about it gets.
Not as far right as the former president.
You know, the argument for people is that he's not even that far right. Like, that's the funny part. I know he was
insanely far right.
I think
but
he
the
was.
key word being insanely.
That part.
Right.
Yeah, that part.
Right.
And she fits that bill quite well, too.
How did she get elected in Colorado?
I think the Colorado's.
Have you seen her?
I think there's about.
I mean, who are you voting for?
I think there's
some
Wild West
71-year-old guy
yeah,
or her.
I think there's some Wild West in Colorado. Like, it's the same thing. Okay, so Arizona's now like
anyway,
a purple state. But
should they get arrested, right?
No, I think they were just removed from the theater.
Okay.
I don't think they were arrested, but they were all over. I mean, like this.
I don't know. I mean, if everyone knows I can do that,
He owns a restaurant.
This guy does.
This guy does, and it has been just inundated with like 1-star reviews and I mean, like he's.
Why are people mad at him? What'd he do?
Well, I mean, it is pretty. It's a bad scene. I don't know why you'd be mad at him.
What is wrong with you people? It's
2023.
Also,
here's the ironic part. Apparently, he's a Democrat.
Okay, now that might be a problem.
Like, here's the really funny part.
Right.
Of it. She's over here, and apparently he's over here.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So you're going with Mrs. Bobert's
yes
companion.
Sign me up.
Griffin
for Beetlejuice.
Griffin wants to be able to do flips.
Yeah.
You think
I mean,
that
if people
part?
know I can do that many flips in a row? That'd be.
Well, I would say here. All right. I'll back up a little bit. The odds are that guy. I mean, he's an Iowa cheerleader.
You think that means that he's doing particularly well when he goes out on a Saturday night?
You think what I'm about to say?
You think that he's
if I say what I'm
up?
about to say, that's going to make a broad brush judgment on male cheerleaders.
Oh no,
so I'm going to leave that alone.
No, that's not a
right,
thing.
Right, I'm going to leave that alone.
That's not a thing.
Right. No, I'm going to answer your question by
Mark
saying
Zinno was a cheerleader. You see Mark Zinno's wife? She's lovely. She's lovely. She's lovely.
This dead air brought to you by.
Would you settle down?
Comment.
Would you settle
Mark
down?
Zinno's a
over
good
there?
man.
I like Mark.
When he
Mark
sleeps.
served our country.
Yep, Mark's a good man.
What is your beef with Mark Zinno?
Is he still in Atlanta?
I think so.
Is he?
Yeah,
he's a good man. Mark is a good man.
Got anything else for us?
No, I'm good.
Just want to leave it there.
As soon as but I've been seeing all these stories about this woman. And I never know. It's such a cesspool.
Okay,
you never know who to believe.
Here's what the
politically
the story is.
It's like these people that say that a plane didn't fly into the Pentagon.
No, hang on a second. The point.
You're a moron.
Wait. The story is that while it really isn't that big of a deal alone, like it's not cool. She was vaping right in front of a pregnant.
Okay, then that might not be cool.
Hang on a second.
The other part is part of our culture.
She was vaping right in front of a pregnant lady.
That's not cool.
And that's not okay.
No
and
doubt.
The lady tried to ask her to stop, and she
you're
was
out.
An a-hole to her.
Completely
Like,
agree
that's
with that.
unacceptable. The other start we have to say is unacceptable too, but we get it. It's not that big of a deal. We can say both things.
What a softy you've become.
No. We got to be capable of saying that, like, you can't just do that and say, like, it's the way it works. It's America. We can fondle each other in the middle of a theater. We know we can't.
When did we become so soft?
Oh, stop over there.
What happened
you know
to us?
that's the case.
We used to watch All in the Family. We thought it was funny.
The issue is the hypocrisy. It's you're the one preaching to me about family values and morals
100%.
while you're out getting fondled at a theater.
100% get it.
That's the issue.
Right. I
that's
get it.
the problem.
Totally
here.
get it.
Like
that's why I respect that girl Jenna Ellis. She tells it like it is.
Which one is Jenna? The attorney?
Yeah.
She
tells
it
like
your
it is.
choice.
She tells it like it is.
Didn't she hate him right up until she got the job? Didn't she she went
think she
full
still hates him
psychopath?
now.
Oh, I guarantee
now
she
she hates him.
But she'll say anything. Like, she'll say anything because she got the job.
She was the only one that
But
smiled in the mugshot thing.
I'm pretty sure they dug up, like, her old Twitter.
Right.
And she murdered the guy.
Right.
Relentlessly. Right up until she was hired to be his
But now she hates him again.
Well, I mean, it's an awkward spot to be in.
Politics, man.
What do you got for us?
You think sports is crazy?
Yeah, it's no doubt. What do you got for us? What's going on in your world?
That's it.
All right.
Just talking about the Orioles never losing again.
They might not. Ravens might not lose either. Life's good.
Man, these are weird times.
Yeah, right? What do we have to complain about?
If they don't win the World Series, we're going to be all so crestfallen. It's going to be crazy.
I don't think they're going to win the World Series. I don't think they will.
I don't know, man.
I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just don't think they will.
They're leading a pretty significantly charmed life.
Well, this week they are. Last week they couldn't hit. Baseball's a weird sport. It feels good this week. Next week, I don't know. They might stop hitting with runners in scoring position.
I mean, like we said, as long as it's not the Cardinals or the Padres in the World
Series.
Series.
Right? And they're good. Those teams, go figure.
How good are the Cardinals uniforms?
God, how much did it hurt you?
Oh.
How much did it hurt you that the Patriots lost wearing the...
Crushed.
Yeah.
How about Belichick throwing the challenge flag down at the guy's face?
No, that was good. That was good.
Guy's face.
I did enjoy that. Waiting until the very second, and then that was great. All right.
Miami's good, by the way.
They're good, but they got to figure out how to snap the ball.
But Miami's good.
Okay.
That kid, that Hill kid, I've never seen anything like
him.
He's
a good guy, too.
And they got
a nice part.
Well, he's a good man. He's trying hard.
Is he? Is he?
Nobody.
All right, we got to get a break.
What
What do you got?
You.
It's not. It depends on what you did.
No. What, are you still mad at the son of Sam?
Yeah. Bob Nightengale joins us next. Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com. It's Glenn Clark Radio. The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
All aboard! The Orioles train keeps on moving, and it's ahead of schedule. The Birds are motoring towards a playoff run here in 2023 as their magic number keeps getting smaller and smaller. I'm Paul Valley, and you can find me along with Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here on the Bat-Around. We'll navigate you through the playoff push as the Orioles look to put an exclamation point on what is turning out to be the best season of the last 40 years. So join us on the Orioles train, and let's enjoy the ride together right here on the Bat-Around.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate arts across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does the restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does the restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Bo Smolka dives into what's next for Lamar Jackson after receiving one of the biggest contracts in football history. Is Lamar ready to take the Ravens to the next level, now with a new offensive coordinator and new wide receivers? Also inside, we look at what new football coaches Brian Newberry and Pete Shinnick bring to Navy and Towson, respectively. And we meet players from the college football and soccer programs around the state. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Don't forget about Project Game Day after every Ravens game this season. It's kind of like this show, except Rita's also there, so I actually think it's pretty good. But hey, you're already here now, so why don't you go ahead and keep listening to GCR.
The code is GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. Use it at superbook.com or when you download the Superbook app. And when you do, you will get up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Whatever it is that you're betting on, we've been monitoring the Ravens-Colts line. And... turn Drew back on for a second. Griffin, turn Drew's mic back on for a second. You still here?
I thought I was still with the team.
If you want to hang out and talk to Bob Nightengale, I'm all for it. At Superbook, it's sitting at 7.5.
That makes sense.
7.5, which, as bettors will tell you, you never bet at 7.5. Ever.
Why?
It's the worst bet you could possibly make.
Ask the 49ers.
That's right.
Or the Rams.
Exactly. If that's on you. It's not on them. It's on you if you bet
But
that.
the Ravens are going to win this game by 20 points.
Well, They might. Or Indianapolis might get a backdoor cover right at the end of the game. They get back within 7 because the Ravens don't care.
That's not happening.
That's why people say don't bet it. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But if you want to bet it, you
We're
should
not losing to the Colts in Baltimore.
Well, I don't think they're going to lose. But 7.5 is a big number, Drew. If you want to bet it, Superbook.com.
Bashani should offer to play them for the helmets.
For God's sakes.
We'll play you guys this week for the helmets.
We get to keep them.
We get to keep the helmets if we beat you.
I don't think they're going to take that. I don't think that the old crazy Jim Irsay is going to go for that. Anyway, the code is GlennClark23. Use it at Superbook. A really interesting story from our friend Bob Nightengale this week about how Brandon Hyde went through pain as the manager and has come out on the other side. And
the players love him.
And is a significant part of all of this.
Right.
Joining us now, of course, from the USA Today, he is our friend Bob Nightengale. He's with us here on GCR. Bob, it's Glenn and Drew in Baltimore. It's always good to catch up. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Sure, my pleasure.
Bob, I think that word pain really stuck out in reading what it is that you wrote. Like that, this was we think about Brandon Hyde fighting with Chris Davis in the dugout. We think about just how truly dark it was, and I remember talking to Brandon about it and him being very realistic about having watched what happened when he was in Chicago and knowing there's a real chance that whenever there is any fruit to this, I won't be a part of it. I might just be the guy to be here. And to me, I think what you wrote about was that makes this story all the more significant, that he went through all of that and is now able to be a part of finally seeing it through and making it all happen here.
Yeah, I mean, so many times the guy doesn't get to see it through. He gets fired, and someone else reaps the reward. I mean, it happened in Houston when they went through all that pain, and then all of a sudden it was A.J. Hinch that came in, and he got the benefit from it. So I think people throughout baseball are, thrilled for Brandon Hyde is able, for the Mike Elias to stick with him.
You wrote about that Brandon Hyde, because of all this, deserves to be manager of the year, and I certainly would tend to agree with that. I guess what I would say is, how much do you think this is happening because of him? Like, how much do you think? Because I don't know enough to know X's and O's decision-making. He pushed all the right buttons last night, for example, to win a baseball game.
James McCann bunting.
Correct. And getting a base hit out of it.
Right.
But how much do you think this is happening because of him versus him just sort of being the guy that's there with a team that has a lot of really talented players?
Well, I think with the manager, the big thing is create that winning culture and to play hard. And as you guys see them, they play hard night after night. And it would have been easy when they lost all those games to have a terrible clubhouse culture, but he kept it, kept it going there. And so, you know what, it's going to turn, guys. It's going to turn. Stick with me. And it has. I think a manager is big, for that reason. When San Francisco Giants won those 3 World Series, 10, 12, 14, they never had the best team, but they probably had the best clubhouse culture.
It's an interesting way of putting it.
Hey, Bob, one of the interesting things about managing in general, coaching, managing, and this is a broader topic than just baseball, what is it that makes the best ones, or at least the hot ones, that they don't seem to be former all-star, championship caliber, Hall of Fame players? I mean, there have been a few, but for the most part, and especially in baseball, it seems to me, the best managers wind up just being guys who were just, kind of journeymen along the way. I've never been able to figure out what is it about that culture they create that maybe they took from their career.
I think because those were the guys kind of sitting on the bench and watching and kind of absorbing everything. Said, okay, if I'm a manager, one day, what am I going to do here? You look at like a guy like Tony La Russa, was on the bench. Buck Showalter was minor leagues. A lot of times it's the catchers, the backup catchers who are the best managers. But you're right, it's never hard to star players. I think they're so busy and engrossed in the game, they don't have time to think along with the manager. When a guy's sitting on the bench, say, okay, here's a strategy here. Why'd you do that? Kind of curious, that sort of thing.
Here's Bob Nightengale from USA Today. We'll link up. It's a really deep dive into Brandon Hyde that he did at USA Today, and we'll link it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio for you to check it out. I want to revisit something you just said, Bob, if I could, because you point out the irony of San Francisco. I don't know how many people know Bruce Bochy's career record as a manager is still sub 500, right? When you say that they didn't have the best players, but they had the best culture, I wonder, they also did still have really good pitching, right? They had really good pitching for those years. Can culture really win out? We were talking earlier, if the Orioles were in the World Series and facing a Braves or a Dodgers, on paper I'd look at those teams and say, yeah, I don't like the Orioles' chances of beating those teams in a World Series. But is it possible that at some point the culture aspect of it, what the Orioles have, really can overcome anything as far as, talent differences, and that they could carry this out to win a World Series even this year?
I mean, you're right. I mean, you got to have that talent, but I think just the little things, the comebacks. I'm here in Houston right now. The Orioles come back, 2 nights ago with a Mullen 3-run homer tonight. Those sort of things, you don't get down. It kind of gives you a more fighting chance. And obviously in the playoffs it comes down to pitching. We all know that, but you got to do the little things right. And the Orioles always see, they do that. Orioles remind me a lot of the Astros, back in 2015 or so, when they kind of burst on the scene. Next thing you know, they won, won 2 World Series, been a 4 World Series, 6 straight ALCSs. There's no reason the Orioles can't have that same kind of run.
I say that, the Astros had to go and they had to be scarred. And I've always thought that, you don't go win a World Series your first time through. You've got to go through the scars and learn from them and improve from them. So when I ask the question, is it possible that the Orioles could win the World Series? I know the answer, of course, is yes, because they're going to be in the playoffs, and anybody who gets in the playoffs could win the World Series. But is it practical to believe they could do it this time, or do we know enough to know it doesn't work this way, that a team gets in for the first time, hasn't been there before, and they ride it all the way to winning the World Series?
I mean, it's rare. I mean, realistically, you think, okay, you get in this time, next year, World Series contender.
Yeah.
It's going to come down to pitching. Hey, Jack Flaherty looked good last night in relief. If he can pitch good in relief, that's a big boost. But you need your star players, your star pitchers to go deep in the playoffs and give you at least a good 6 solid innings. And that's what it comes down to. But that being said, I mean, you look around the American League, that thing is wide open. I mean, between I think Baltimore is showing Houston right now, hey, we're better than you. And Houston's probably still the class of the American League West. And they, are they better on the Twins and paper? Yes. certainly they're the best team in the AL East right now too. So there's no reason in the world they can't get to the World Series.
Bob, I'll go this route too. As you know, everybody in Baltimore, it's there's just joy. It's overjoyed. It's everything. But at the same time, it's measured by what has been a difficult season again away from the field and missteps from the leadership of this organization and this lease thing that still looms no matter how many times that they say, look, don't worry about it, it's going to get done. How do you measure the immediacy of the success versus the, hey, they haven't locked up a player long-term yet, and this is the Orioles that we're talking about, and they don't have any track record of spending money. How do you measure the health of the franchise on the whole versus the wild success that they're having on the field?
But there's always a carryover. I mean, you watch next year, the Orioles season ticket sales will be way up, and attendance will be way up. Philadelphia is up, I think, about 10,000 seats a game this year. So I think it's a thing where don't worry about it. Lease is going to be taking care of itself. Obviously, the Orioles aren't going anywhere. One of the dual franchises in baseball, all the history and tradition, everything else, still a gorgeous ballpark. Long-term contracts, we'll see. Can't lock everybody up. But, point out to Houston, they let George Springer go. They let Carlos Correa go. And they're still winning. I mean, the bottom line is, the Orioles have the number one farm system and, have the second best record in baseball. That's stuff the Dodgers do year after year.
How good do you think Gunnar Henderson is, Bob? Like it's starting to look like this is legitimately a future MVP that we're watching night in and night out.
Yeah, you love the way he plays the game. It's so hard. I mean, my favorite play of the year was when he stretched that single into a double and gave up the cycle. They had a big lead.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been easy just to stop there. I love that play, being aggressive. I remember talking to him about it, a couple weeks ago. And he says, I just didn't think it was fair again to stop at single, but I know I could have had a double. So that kind of mentality goes a long, long way.
You said he should be, but are you confident that both Brandon Hyde's going to be manager of the year and Gunner's going to be rookie of the year?
Yeah, with Young getting hurt in Texas, I think it's almost he may be unanimous rookie of the year this year. Brandon Hyde, it was like neck and neck with Bruce Bochy. I don't think there's any way the Rangers are going to win the division. And I just think it's going to be Hyde number one and probably Bochy number two. And Brandon was second last year. But no, I really think Mac Elias will be executive of the year for what they've done. I'd be surprised if he's, that's for both leagues, but he should win executive of the year award too in November.
I feel like we're on another planet.
Right? It's just good after good after good after good. As you know, Bob, we're not used to this here. Life is good, though. Life is good in Baltimore as we get ready for the postseason. Again, USA Today, usatoday.com is where you can check out his stuff. Follow him on Twitter @BNightengale as well. Bob Nightengale, always appreciate taking the time for us. Thanks for spending a couple minutes with us this morning.
Sure, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
It's Bob Nightengale with us here on GCR. It is weird.
I'm waiting for the other. Are we going to lose the last 9?
Well, that's how I started to feel. Did you start to feel any of that last week? Did you have any? You were still completely confident?
Not at all. 0.
I'm telling you that after with Adam there and the rabid nature.
Well, that Friday night was.
That was
oh my God.
That change. In my mind, there was a God.
Yeah, no, it was good.
There could be a.
I do think Sunday was.
Do you remember how we felt when the ALCS in '97 came back to Baltimore after they got the split in New York, despite the Jeffrey Mayer thing? When they lost Game 1 that way, but then turned around and won Game 2 anyway, we all felt like
we're good.
You can't beat this team.
Right.
I think I said '97. That was '96, of course. You can't beat this team.
Right.
You can't. They lost like that, and still turned back around and won Game 2 to get the split in New York. Now they get to come back for 3 games at home. Brady Anderson's hitting home runs every at bat. They're good. This series isn't going.
Athletic opus.
Yeah, this was at his athletic opus.
Right.
This series isn't going back to New York, which we were right about.
Correct.
It didn't go back to New York.
Darryl Strawberry made sure of that.
But I started to feel a little bit of that, on Friday night.
I will say though that I thought Sunday was important. The Saturday night win got what they wanted.
Right.
I mean, look, Brandon Hyde would never admit to it. If we win 1 game, it's like winning 2
because you get
the
tiebreaker.
We're good.
Yep.
If we win 2, it's great. If we win 3, oh my God.
Yeah.
If we win 4,
well, if they had won 3, then it would have been over.
Right. So the Saturday was critical. Sunday, though, I do think Sunday was important for them. Like, Tampa would have left essentially even / 1 game behind, right, based on the tiebreaker. But they would have been even in the stand. I think Sunday was a really important win for them.
Oh, I think it was. I think I said before
the whole playoff clinching thing, with Tampa, right?
The vision of this team having that champagne celebration, having just lost 5 of 6 overall at home, 3 of 4 to the team that has now tied them in a race would have been a week early, a 4-game division lead.
No, I think it was important Sunday.
The idea of that happening, which they would have done, like they would have done the whole celebration because they would have said, "Look, it's a season-long accomplishment."
Been tempered, I think.
It would have been, I think, more uncomfortable for everyone involved.
Right.
I think it would have been
lost 3 or 4 to Tampa, right?
Like a really bad look. I agree that Sunday was critical.
I thought that was an important game, but I never felt. I've thought all year they were going to win. I've said that all along. There's just something about tonight it could be or today. It could be it could be O'Hearn. I mean, hell, he could be the number 3 guy for the MVP.
It's insane.
He's having an
By the way,
unbelievable year.
who's team MVP? It's Gunnar, right? Like it has to be Gunnar now.
It
is.
Because
it was Batista.
It might have been Batista. I think until the middle of August, end of August, it was Santander, but not now. Yeah.
I never had him higher on the list than Batista. But
okay, right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But then he got hurt.
If you're saying Batista got hurt, so it could have defaulted to Santander. Yeah.
If it wasn't for Henderson, you could say this about several guys. If it wasn't for Henderson, they wouldn't be in the lead.
I agree with that.
There's no question.
I agree
with that. If it wasn't for Batista, they wouldn't be in the lead.
God, the O'Hearn story, though.
O'Hearn's had an unbelievable. Of all of the guys that they brought in, I'm not going to say cast off because that sounds like that's a negative. But of all of the guys they brought in who were just guys, like I could be wrong on this, and we'll see in April. I don't think Frazier will be back. I think he's a one-stop thing, and he's done fine.
And Westberg needs to play. Like they have to have Westberg play.
And Frazier has, as he did the other day, Frazier has come up with some huge. I said this earlier in the year. For all the grief people are giving him about his defense, and it's marginal.
The numbers say it's not even marginal,
right? But he's a competent Major League Baseball player, and he's had a big moment with the bat. You can go back and look at this. He's pretty much had a big moment with the bat about once a week.
Yep.
He does something. He's disposable. I think O'Hearn has carved out a spot in the team for him where he isn't disposable.
Oh, I think he has to be part of the future.
And
plans.
Especially if...
Which almost becomes awkward because it's quite redundant. Mountcastle, the way he turned around this season, has to be part of the future plans. O'Hearn's got to be part of your future plans. Kerstad obviously has to be part of your future plans. So
you still have Cowser?
And it's a great point. I mean, it is a great point because I think we were thinking about him as a corner outfielder.
What are you going to do with Holiday next year? Where's he going to play?
So I still think that ultimately he plays short and Gunnar plays third.
Okay.
I still think that's how it works out.
Okay.
But there has been some more hubbub that maybe they just say Gunnar's handled shortstop well enough that we're not moving him and Jackson's going to have to move, and it's a good problem to have. But those two will have positions. There's no, debate about their roles in all of this. But like Austin Hayes, who's had a good season, obviously had a great night last night, you got to start having an open conversation. Like, what is his spot? And even Santander, you got to have that conversation about it. Like, where are the spots? It's a good problem to have this many baseball players.
Yeah, they have 30 guys for 25 spots.
Essentially. And they still probably need to try to upgrade somehow. They probably need to try to add in.
One more arm would be good.
Yep.
At least.
Yep.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think they could still even use one more. Like, if they're moving on from Frazier, I think they could use one more
player like him, but a better version of him.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right. Utility, guy
that's not Matteo.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, they love his speed, and they want to have somebody on the team that they can just. We could say whatever you want to say. There's a reason why he was the guy that was standing on first base on Sunday, in the 9th inning, and they wanted to send him, and they got to run, and that's why they kept him on the roster all season.
Of all of the hits for the season, that if you want to, whatever you want to call this year, I don't even want to say that this year's improbable because I think that's unfair. They won 83 games last year, and I said they were going to win 89. They won.
Well, yeah, it was embarrassing that Vegas had them at 70.
It was a joke,
it was
right?
Laughable.
But of all of the things that sum up the year, that hit sums up the year.
Sure.
4 inches inside the line
Yep,
on a pitch that mostly no one's getting to in the league.
Yep.
Great pitch, would have been strike 3. Knocks it down the line. That summed up the season.
Jake Mintz from Fox Sports is going to join us in 1 second. We're going to talk to him. He just wrote about Grayson Rodriguez, who, God,
I'm done. Bored.
You're out?
I'm just Rodriguez, too much hype.
Oh, yeah?
No.
Yeah, that's where you're at with him? Real quick, have you had a chance to watch? It just came out yesterday. Griffin told me about it, and it made no sense to me when he explained it to me. Did you watch it?
I watched it last night. It was amazing.
I watched it. The Saint of Second Chances is on Netflix. It's about Mike Vick, and it's amazing. I couldn't recommend anything anymore. It's a little bit about Bill Veeck, but only a little bit about Bill Veeck and sort of Mike telling about how his dad influenced him. But when you brought up Darryl Strawberry, I thought about, part of the story is when Darryl Strawberry was kicked out of baseball and, wandered out to St. Paul to be on that, independent team that Mike Vick was running. It's unbelievable. I didn't know the story of Mike Vick's family, his daughter.
The dogs, the whole thing.
I cannot recommend enough watching The Saint of Second Chances. It's incredible available on Netflix right now.
Multi-sport athlete.
Who?
Michael Vick.
No, not. Nah. I didn't even catch it.
Made you laugh.
I didn't even catch it when you said the dogs. I didn't even catch it.
Made you laugh.
I just. Thank you for that. Dynamite tapping. They don't call him the best color analyst in baseball for nothing.
And there's a 4-run homer by Castellanos, and it's 8-0.
Today's
Reds lead.
Today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. You hanging?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I mean, I got nothing else to do.
Joining us now, I love this guy, part of the Cespedes Family Barbecue, and an MLB analyst for Fox Sports. He just wrote about Grayson Rodriguez. So I don't know if you heard. Looked really good on Saturday night. He is our buddy Jake Mintz, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Jake, it's Glenn. Drew Forrester's here with me. Thank you, as always, taking the time for us, man.
Howdy, how we doing? Birdland, October, the energy is good. Woohoo!
How we doing? We're doing it's.
We feel like we're on another planet,
right? We don't know
what to do.
We really don't. It very much is Ricky Bobby with his hands.
They can't lose. No one can beat them, and they can't lose. Even when they try to lose, they can't lose.
It's amazing. God, it's amazing.
It's incredibly bizarre. My inclination is just to believe that the Astros are always going to win every game they play because history has beat that in our heads. And so last night it was like, oh, good, Brian O'Hearn, sure, whatever.
Of course. I mean, this is just and Jack Flaherty coming out of the bullpen. Jack Flaherty, who 2 days ago we said there's no chance in hell that he's on the playoff roster. And then all of a sudden we're like, well, this guy might have something to offer. Let's ease up on all that. Maybe this guy could help us.
I expect Chris Davis to come back and hit a 2-run homer tomorrow night in Cleveland.
He's still the highest paid player on the roster.
Yeah, right.
Might as well contribute. What you're alluding to, because as fun as this all has been, and we're talking about Cedric Mullins the other night, and obviously Adam Frazier on Sunday, and as fun as all this is, I don't know that any of it is quite as meaningful as what we saw on Saturday. Because the teeth of this is that it feels like Grayson Rodriguez announced loudly in that one outing when everything was going the wrong way, when everything was slipping away from the Orioles, and this had a danger of turning into, he was the definition of a stopper. And this guy that we've talked about as having ace type of stuff, that was the first time. For as good as he's been in some of these starts, and to your point of what you write about it and how he's looked different, that was the moment where we all stopped and said, oh, that guy can be an ace and the type of thing we haven't had in this city since Mike Messina. I don't know that anything that's occurred has been quite as meaningful as what we saw on Saturday night.
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, it was shut down. It was legitimate. And every pitching prospect is worse than we think they will be, right? That is just how it works. Expectations are very rarely reality. And Orioles fans know this better than anybody. The previous decade was dotted with guys who never fulfilled their potential. And Grayson, in the first 10 starts of his career before he got sent down to Norfolk, was in danger of becoming that. It smelled like, oh, well, here we go again. Now, it is important to remember that development is never linear. And for a guy like that, Some of it was confidence. Some of it was fastball command. Some of it was bad luck. He was just giving up more home runs than anybody on the planet. Came back in middle of July, and since then he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. Now, his peripheral stats he's more like very good than elite right now. He's gotten a little bit fortunate, which is, a little karmic. But what he is a potential front line guy that you feel very good about in the playoffs. And if he is not that right now, then he may be that in the future. It is a taste of something real.
Is it too aggressive, like, for the Orioles to have seen that start? He goes 8 innings, and then for them to turn around and say, by the way, remember how we've been pitching on 6 days and there's normally been a day off? Instead, you're going to be going on normal rest now moving forward, even though you're drastically past your innings limit. Are you at all concerned about how they respond to it, and they're going to turn around and throw him again tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's fine. He's a big boy. And I imagine that Grayson wants to take the leash off.
Okay.
He wants to ride. Talking to Grayson and knowing Grayson, he's the type of dude, it's your traditional.
No doubt.
I'm from Texas. Give me the baseball. I'm throwing it hard, and I'm throwing it by you. You know what I mean? And he's excited to no longer be – babied is the wrong word, but I guess the word would probably be monitored. So that's something that he's excited about. And whether or not it works, Grayson Rodriguez going past his innings limit will not be the reason that they win or lose a playoff series, in my opinion, right? I think, maybe he tires a little bit over the last couple of weeks here, but maybe he doesn't. And he's better than the alternatives right now.
I don't disagree with that. Although Kyle Bradish has been really freaking good this season, man, and I feel like at some point
he's incredible. Yeah, he's incredible. But I mean, you're basically saying, is it going to be Grayson or is it going to be Kyle Gibson, who I know has been reliable,
right?
But in a playoff series, you're much more comfortable with Grayson.
There's no world where Kyle Gibson. I don't know. Again, I think at the moment, are you in agreement that the 4 for a playoff rotation would be Grayson, Kramer, Bradish, and at this point, John Means, even if he's limited?
I would order it Bradish,
Rodriguez,
Means, Kramer.
Okay. Walk me through that.
So I think they see Bradish as the one.
Yeah. And he's earned that.
100%. He's had the best year of ever.
And he's earned that this year. And Grayson, for as much as he's done, making him the first starter of a series is an added level of unnecessary pressure. And I think the team understands that. And because of that, I think Kyle will throw the first game. But I expect Rodriguez to throw the second game. And then you're right, the candidates are Jack Flaherty, no. Kyle Gibson, probably not. Kramer and Means. And I just don't see Means getting obliterated. And with as good as this offense is right now, throwing 5 innings and allowing 4 runs is totally fine. Whereas I see a world in which, Kyle Gibson gives up 9
in 2 innings.
And do you put any stock at all in pretty much knowing, I mean, it's not clinched yet, but knowing you're going to open at home, does that make it easier to say we'd rather have Rodriguez pitch in game 2 than game 3?
In a weird way, I'd flip it if that was your motivation, because I feel better about Means at home because of how much contact he gives up. And the Baltimore in left field is probably more beneficial for him, whereas Rodriguez, with more swing and miss stuff, I think can pitch in a Little League field and deal with it. But I don't think they'll overthink it that way. I think it'll be Rodriguez in game 2. Again, I could be wrong, and a lot can change. They view Means as just such a vital part of the whole Orioles experience. I think he's a guarantee to get a postseason start unless he looks awful here in his last couple starts.
Here's what's the most important question. The pitchers, if this is you and you're pitching game 2, high socks or pants all the way down by your shoes?
Oh, I'm a high socks guy.
Are you really?
Always will be. Yeah. When I played in college, I was high socks stirrups. Yeah.
Gosh. You got to have them down by your shoes. It makes you look tougher.
No, I'm not about looking. Look, listen, I was a Division III sidearm reliever. Toughness is not exactly something I had in my repertoire.
You have any outs in you? Because I'd rather turn to you than Jorge Lopez at the moment.
Oh, my gosh.
I'd rather go that route.
That's a bummer, huh?
Yeah,
That's a weird one.
That stinks,
And
man.
we keep putting him out there, and he
'Cause
keeps
they got
giving
it,
up
'cause somebody's
runs.
got to pitch.
He keeps giving up runs, but then we keep hitting 3-run homers the next inning.
It does work out well. Jake Mintz is with us, of course, Fox Sports, Cespedes Family Barbecue. Jake, I want to run a couple things by you broadly. One, can they do this? Like, and I bring it up in two layers, right? Is there enough pitching combined with, can a team that's never been there before get there the first time and win the World Series? It just feels like it doesn't happen that way in baseball, that you have to go take your lumps, be scarred by it, and remember that when you go back. It just doesn't feel like any of these teams that build this way really break through the first time. Can they do this?
I mean, the Phillies did it last year, kind of. Granted, there were a lot more veterans on that team, but as a group, it was their first time getting to that level together all the way to the World Series. Yes, that is the concern. The lights are brighter, and the crowd is louder, and the games mean more, and the pressure matters, and sometimes inexperience makes guys pee their pants on the biggest stage, and that's just the reality of the sport and of life. Now, this team might be so irrational in themselves, so convicted in their ability that it might not matter, and we're not going to know. There's no way to predict that, right? The best way, I guess, to forecast that is how have they performed in the biggest games this year, right? And they've showed up when the time matters, right? That game on Sunday was as high leverage a moment as they've had, and they came through. But it's not enough sample size to have anything definitive, and honestly, the playoffs are not a big enough sample size for anything to be really definitive, right? It's just, what do we see in a short sample? Do I think they can do it? I have more belief every single day as they beat good baseball teams. They took the first two in Houston, one of them against Justin Verlander. Like, I'm not sure what else.
And they were all
could possibly do
hungover.
in the regular season.
None of them could walk, and they still won that game.
They're 2 games behind the Braves. Like, and obviously, I feel better about the Braves in October than I do the Orioles, and I think that like Mike Elias would probably say that if you gave him a truth serum. But I just have stopped disbelieving this group. It just let it happen. Now, do they have enough pitching? I'm more worried about the bullpen right now than I am about the starters. I think that the starters are perfectly sufficient. They're not elite and they're not bad, but the bullpen without Bautista is very shorthanded.
Although, who knows? Maybe they won't be without Bautista, which is another bizarro world conversation that we're having at this point. How do you define what Cedric Mullins means to this team? Because you can't have somebody in another city look at his numbers and say, that's a special player. That's one of the. But we all know, like, that from watching this team all season long. I joked about it the other day, but I am half convinced that like Cedric Mullins is now responsible for like 50% of my all-time favorite baseball memories, because all the dude ever does is make the most ridiculous defensive plays you ever see and come up in the biggest situations and deliver. How do you possibly define his value to this team and this franchise?
The play he made in the first game of the Rays series was stupid.
And by the way, hang on a second, though. You say that, and I don't know how you felt, Drew. I looked at my kids as that ball was off the bat and said, I think he's going to get that ball, because I'm just so used to it at this point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. He's wild, man. And like, the thing about the team and how it kind of zags from the perception of the Orioles that I think a lot of people have around baseball, they are the product of the tanking to an extent. And I'm sure you folks have talked about this a lot. Like, Adley and Gunnar are here because the Orioles were terrible, right? Gunnar less so because he's a second-round pick, but, they had the money to throw to him, whatever, okay? And the development at the minor league level is very impressive, and it is why the Orioles will be good for the next 5 to 10 years. However, the outfield of Santander, Hayes, and Mullins was the same outfield when they lost 1,000 games in 2021, right? The development at the big league level is a huge part of it, and nobody's development is more shocking than Cedric Mullins, right? Hayes was a relatively high pick, and Santander was on some prospect lists, but Cedric Mullins was a 13th round nobody out of Campbell University.
Undersized.
And he turned into a vital member of the best team in the American League.
It's one of my favorite stories, man. Like, it's so funny because, like, how do you pick what your favorite story of this team is? Because, Ryan O'Hearn is alive, Like, how do you possibly pick what your favorite thing is? But I just don't know that there's anyone that I get as much joy from watching play. Acknowledging he's not Ken Griffey Jr. He's not, I don't even know that we can say he's Adam Jones, right? Like, but there's just there's something about watching Cedric Mullins play that just gives me an amount of joy in watching the game that I don't get from every other player on this team.
Yeah. And there's like a level of fulfillment and catharsis going on with him and with Hayes that's just so outstanding to follow as a longtime fan.
All right, I'm going to present to you. We do a silly bit. It's called Would You Rather Wednesday, right? I'm going to present this to you and just see how you feel about it, because the scenario that I gave everyone today that everybody's struggling with is a base.
We're not going to talk about the woman
No,
politician.
we're not talking. No, we're not doing that
In the bar.
No, settle down over
theater.
there.
Okay.
Settle down.
Okay.
Jake, I'm giving you a baseball genie comes to you and says, I can guarantee that the Orioles will make the World Series this year. I'm not going to guarantee you the result, but I guarantee you they will make the World Series this year. Or they're going to lose in the first round, but on this date, 1 year from now, they will have clinched the AL East. Jackson Holliday will be the runaway Rookie of the Year in the American League. Gunnar Henderson is a top 3 MVP candidate. All of Grayson Rodriguez, John Means, and Kyle Bradish are having all-star seasons. Felix Bautista is back, and everyone is healthy.
And I win the lottery.
Yeah, right.
No. I'm leaving it off there. I'm leaving it there because I was going to throw in that every signed a player, but that would be too much. Which of those scenarios are you taking?
This year.
I take the first one.
In the World Series.
Right. Anybody would.
I take the first one.
Why?
Because here's why. I mean, all those things you said might happen next year.
They might happen anyway, you're
reason to think
saying.
that the Orioles, they might just do this again, and they're as well set up to do it next year as anybody. And the future is the future. I could slip on a banana peel and exit this world on November 8th.
And then who the hell cares if the Orioles are any good?
Now ask him about the movie theater woman.
Stop it over there. God, would you stop it? Jake, what all can we plug for you, brother? What else? What do you got going on?
I mean, listen to our podcast. I know if you're listening to this show, you like having stuff coming to your ears. And so that's what we do for a living over at Baseball Barcast.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that. I'm not sure if we're allowed to use that
It's
phrase.
okay. It's 2023.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Right.
You're fine. So, yeah, listen to our pod. We enjoy it. We enjoy doing it. We talk. If you want a little bit more than the Orioles, we do that. We talk about all 29 teams and very rarely the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's the nice part. God, every time they put up the standings, I'm just like, wow, this is real.
I love how
really
it's
happening.
just there at Fenway Park, right?
Oh, they
Like
have to
every day.
They have to revel in it every day. They have to stare at it and drink it in. Oh, go F yourselves.
I have a picture. So the first World Series I really covered was Fenway in 2018, and I have a picture of myself next to the Baltimore 53 games back sign. So this is amazing.
Oh, God. 53 games back. At Jake_Mintz is how you follow him. Cespedes Family Barbecue. And Force. We will link up his story about Grayson Rodriguez on our Twitter account for Fox Sports. Always appreciate you, brother. Thanks for doing this. Let's
Thank
talk
you,
again
folks.
as we get for the playoffs.
Thank
all
you
right?
for having me on. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. Jake Mintz, Fox Sports, with us here on GCR. Project Game Day returns this Sunday. It's brought to you by HelpMyGamblingProblem.org and Superbook Sports. Myself, the NFL chick Rita Hubbard, and a very special guest will be with you immediately following Ravens Colts. You will be able to flip over.
Now, when Lamar comes out, what do you guys do about autographs when he comes out this week?
I don't think that. Now, that's a different show. We're talking about Project Game Day this week.
Oh.
We'll talk about that show in a minute.
We're talking about Lamar coming out?
Yeah, I don't think that's the way
We're
it's
not saying that yet?
I don't think we can announce that. I don't think
How's
we
the
can.
Lamar meter doing, by the way?
Bumped up to 24%. Bumped up to 24
Should
after
be
this week.
87.
How to talk to him. Project Game Day. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/GameDay if you want to find out more. We'll be on YouTube as well on Sunday. So looking forward to being with you for Project Game Day this Sunday. I guess, is he squatting at this point? Like, do we have to start worrying about
You can't get me out.
Like, what we're going to have to
I already
do?
know all the rules in the state of Maryland because
Yeah,
I work at the rectory and I'm dealing with evictions
That's
all
what
the time.
What are
you
we
can't get me out.
How long?
I could stay here for a year.
Oh, man.
Without you being able to throw me out. You invited me, and I can stay.
Drew Forrester is here.
I got to go anyway.
Oh, yeah, do you? You told me that.
Go let Knox
you told
out.
me that 2 segments ago.
I got to go let Knox out.
Now are you leaving? Or are you going to?
Yeah, I'm going.
At this point, why don't you just finish the show? We got one more segment to do.
Because nothing's happening.
We're gonna get a tidbit. That'll be fascinating.
Oh, tidbit.
We'll find out. We'll get tubular, and then we'll wrap up the show by chatting with Jake Funk.
Who?
Jake, the Colts running back, Jake Funk.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a wrestler.
No,
that's
Terry Funk. He passed away
He's
a
dead,
couple
I
weeks
think.
ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
You want to play? You want to play around? You want to play a Dead or Alive?
Oh, now I'm better at that than I used to.
Fabulous Moolah.
Oh, 100% dead.
There you go. Look at you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Can't get anything past
She
this
looked dead
guy.
when she was alive.
Jesus. Ronnie Wood.
Somehow, beyond all comprehension, Ron Wood is alive.
That's a fact, too.
Which is
it's also a fact.
Bizarre. Healthy people are dying every day, and he's alive
Ronnie
still.
Wood is very much with us.
It's unreal.
The tender age of 76. He's doing all right.
And looks 176.
I don't disagree with that, but he is very much with us. All right,
I mean, cocaine and heroin both said to Ron Wood,
yeah, we're
no.
Yeah.
They both said, we've had enough of you.
We're getting our ass kicked over here. It looks bad in the streets.
No doubt.
We can't.
They both quit him. They said that's enough.
You're never funny, but that was actually fun.
They said that's it.
I can't believe you did it.
They said,
you were
not this guy again. Cocaine said, it's Ron Wood calling again.
No.
Change the number. New phone, who dis?
Tell him to call Smoothies.
New phone, who dis? I swear.
I can't believe Drew's funny. I
Oh,
can't believe we
God.
reached that
It's
moment.
the coffee.
All right, tidbit
So
tubular.
Royal Farms Black Mountain.
There you go.
Jamaican Mountain coffee.
We're fans too. We'll come back in with all that. And Jake Funk, yes, from the Colts. That's on the way.
I'm not talking to anybody with the Colts helmet on.
Okay.
I'm just not.
All right. Well, you know what? He said he didn't want to talk to you either. So
No, I don't want to talk to him because of the helmet.
And that's good. He didn't want to talk to you. It all works out fine.
See what happened to Nick Chubb?
Glenn Clark. Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Maryland drivers, did you know you can save up to 77% on tolls with an Easy Pass Maryland discount plan? That's right, 77%. It's never been easier. Pick the plan that's right for you at driveezmd.com. We'll keep you moving.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to pressboxonline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of Pressbox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org. The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, September 26th at Guilford Hall Brewery in Station North. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports.
It's a Maryland thing you wouldn't understand. Where the waves meet the shore, you will find Dorchester County. Hi, this is Jimmy Charles. When I think of Maryland, I think Dorchester County on the Eastern Shore, where it's open for making memories. Dorchester County, it's a Maryland thing. For more info, visit www.visitdorchester.org. It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah. It's a Maryland thing. Hell yeah.
The Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring with competitive salaries, including for experienced police officers, starting salaries between over $68,000 and over $82,000 based on your prior service time, accepting up to 7 years of service times with only 6 weeks in the academy, minimum of 2 years prior experience. And police cadet starting salaries at over $32,000 must be between the ages of 18 and 20, but you can apply starting at 17 and a half. Must have a high school diploma or GED equivalent at the time of the hire, U.S. citizen at the time of the hire, and a valid driver's license. So if you have a passion for service and want a career for life, now is the time to join the Baltimore County Police Department. Call 410-887-5542 or visit joinbaltimorecountypd.com.
Picking a restaurant to try for the first time? Let's look at the Costas Inn. Here's a few checklist items. Quality of the food? Check. Quality of service? Check. Does restaurant have plenty of free parking? Check. And finally, does restaurant have delicious steamed crabs, crab cakes, crab soup, and specials galore? Check, check, check. Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. They check all the boxes.
Visit Harford County this fall. Celebrate arts across Harford September 15th through the 30th with dance, theater, music, and visual arts. September 29th through October 1st is the largest Italian festival in Maryland, featuring entertainment, cooking demonstrations, a bocce tournament, and family fun. If you're headed to the Maryland 5-Star, stay and play in Harford County. While you're there, enjoy the scenic views atop the King and Queen seats and experience pumpkin patches, corn mazes, and fall brews along their Harford Libation Trail. For more info, head to visitharford.com. Maryland open.
Sure, Glenn may be in his 40s now, but he looks just as good as he ever has, and he's still as sharp as he ever was. And I say both those things without even a shred of irony. Find out for yourself right now by watching the show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or youtube.com/PressBoxOnline.
All right, back in here on GCR. Ravens worked out some running backs this week. Perhaps a reunion with Kenyon Drake could be in the cards. Also brought in Ronald Jones, as well as former Jaguar James Robinson. I'm not sure that I like.
More recently, former Jet, I think.
He was, yes, also a former Jet. That is correct, but he had a pretty big season with the Jaguars once upon a time, and he hasn't done anything since then. So
opportunity's not there.
How hard do you think the Jets have tried over the years to sign a quarterback with his first name Benny?
Benny the Jet.
Just for the
we have to figure out what the squatter thing.
Just
is.
for the it's a year.
I need you to.
I told you it's a year.
I need you to call.
You invited me.
But I need you to call other people that
No,
have been
I've
through,
got all the details.
No. We'll come right back to you. I promise. What I'm saying is I need you to find out if there are other people that have been in this situation and what they've done.
Just for the headlines.
To try to are we allowed to run kids. In gases into to try to smoke them out?
Hey.
What?
Together, it's fall. I'm drinking. Just for the headlines.
Anthony Richardson.
Because Benny. It would be. You just know, right? Benny and the Jets.
It would be. Yeah, that would be good.
God, I remember Chris Berman when Benny Agbayana played for the Mets. I remember Chris Berman would just
Benny and the Mets.
Yes, oh God.
He didn't run that into the ground, did he?
No, not at all. Yeah, not Chris Berman. He would never do that. Not whatsoever. Didn't say it.
I remember him coming to the table once at the Super Bowl, and this we could do 4 hours on Super Bowl, right? I found him to be one of the most off-putting, cold, obstinate. I found Chris Berman to be almost. I don't even know what the word is. You just wanted to say, Chris, do me a favor.
Yeah, we're good.
Let's wrap this up here real quick.
I have reverence for Chris Berman's place in everything.
Of course,
that we do.
He's the grandfather of what we do.
And at the same time,
or did, anyway, you still do it. I'm just a part-timer.
I think I qualify as a part-timer at this point.
But he was such a prick when he sat down.
I would say, one, I also respect the fact that he was the one that called 21-31, and somehow he managed to shut up and
no Andy Rooney.
Let the moment breathe
right.
in that, which is remarkable when you look back on it. But I also had the Arizona Super Bowl. I had a little.
I wonder if that was the one where we.
I had a.
Maybe that was the one
where been.
He came by the.
I was not working. I was working in Arizona at the time.
Yeah,
but I hung out with you guys that week a little bit. And Barry and I were out one night, and we had a. I don't want to say anything about it, but it was a.
Okay,
there was a.
Did you guys do Steele's wallet or something?
Yeah, no, there was a clear ego.
Oh yeah, there was a.
He wanted to make sure we knew who exactly
I would,
who he was.
Yeah, like we don't know. Like,
Right.
what's your name? Who
And I
are
think
you?
even
I've not
started
seen you
like
before.
I'm sure because Barry's kind of awkward. Like my friend Barry, who was the old radio station that doesn't exist anymore, the owner's son, but I grew up with and went to high school with, and so Barry and I were hanging out, and Barry had a little awkwardness in him. Like he could come off sometimes like in a certain way, but I think he went over to try to talk to him, and it got uncomfortable quite quickly. Like quite quickly it turned uncomfortable. And I was like, dude, what is going on here? Like, what is your deal? Like, you got.
I mean, we ran into
bring
some.
it down
We
about
ran into some goofs and some pleasant people too. I mean, like
lifelong friends.
We ran into some strange cats in that thing, man. What was it? What was the guy asked our former boss about his finger? Jay.
Oh no, that was Jay Moore.
Jay Moore.
Jay Moore
What
was
happened to your finger?
Jay Moore was over the top. Yeah, he wouldn't leave it alone, would he?
Maurice Jones-Drew.
Maurice Jones-Drew could not.
Dude, can I see your finger?
Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew was
What'd you
obsessed.
do to your finger?
Was obsessed
like,
with it.
Like he's never seen someone with a missing digit or
Do
something.
you think that we were actually friends with Caliendo, or that was all a ruse for him?
I think whatever.
Because
how do I say this the right way? Whatever was going on in his life that morning when he first showed up at 5:50.
Yeah.
Like, where are you guys from? We're like, Baltimore. Can I sit in with you?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, we don't have anybody lined up for 6 o'clock. So
right.
sure.
And he just sat down and did an hour with us, talked about his family, his wife driving him crazy.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I got to roll. We're like, okay, see you later. And he came back at like 9:30. He's like,
100%.
Can I hop in with you guys again?
I
We're
mean,
like,
we were his.
on another planet?
We were like his Magoobies. Like
Right.
we were his.
Right.
I'm gonna work on my material here.
And he would alternately do. He would do things like this. He would go. I remember he would say something like, "You guys are pretty funny." And we
Yeah.
would be like, "Oh, thanks." He would go. Then he would say, "Actually, you're not." I was just kind of saying that.
And like we would text, and we would be cool. And then
it was a weird.
And then I would also feel in moments like it was put upon him. Like
I always felt like there was a TV camera somewhere, right, waiting for them to go.
Yeah.
You gonna tell those guys real quick that
right?
the
Like
joke's on them.
Where
is he now? By the way, what's he do?
I don't know what Frank's doing these
He's
days.
still doing
He
it.
was playing competitive ping pong for a little
Was he
while.
really?
Dude, there would be times where he would show up and he'd be sweating.
Some of his is it the Bush that he does that's really good. Like he.
Some of these are excellent.
Oh
yeah,
my gosh,
100%.
Barkley.
Oh, he's Barkley's really good, no doubt.
But anyway, there were lots of there were people that were pleasant to have hanging around, and then I remember when Heinz Ward came around, I'm like, I'm going to punch this guy in the face, and when he left, I'm like, you're actually a pretty good guy.
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, right.
He was a nice
Give me some
guy.
Sharpies.
No, get the F out of here.
And
No.
then Jennifer Garner showed up. I said, everybody always said you were pretty, and you are pretty. And she was like, oh, thank you. And
Chelsea Handler
I gave her
invited
my number.
Chelsea Handler invited me out. She was
who
like,
was that?
but I definitely thought that was like a she's all that situation where like, I thought that it was.
My all-time best was when I didn't know who the guy was from American Idol.
Philip Phillips. Yeah, Drew's like, what is this guy? I'm like, you would like him. This is
I said,
way
dude,
more you.
We
than
were
it is
going
me.
on, and at 15 seconds, I said, dude, I got to be honest with you. I don't
Never
know who you
heard
are.
of
He
the guy,
goes,
right?
yeah, sure. I'm like, I swear to God.
Yeah, right. Philip Phillips. He didn't really rise. Like his rise was like
He
for
and
a
Taylor,
summer.
he
And
and,
no, he had a much higher rise than Taylor Hicks.
Taylor Hicks.
Philip Phillips had hit songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Home
Philip
and-
Phillips had a good run.
The
big one.
My
was,
number one Super Bowl highlight is peeing next to Tim Tebow.
You talk about that every day.
Hey, Drew, did you and Glenn go get the fish last night? I'm looking over and I'm like, who? What universe am I on when Tim Tebow asked me if I went to get the fish?
I talk about the story. Were you there when Aaron Paul and Kid Cudi came over?
No.
Okay, so Aaron Paul and Kid Cudi at the throes of Breaking Bad. Aaron Paul and Kid Cudi, they're promoting some bad movie, and they come over and sit down with us. And I have Aaron Paul call Ryan Shell a bitch, and it's the highlight of Ryan Shell's life.
Sure.
And so
other than Alex Morgan calling that.
Yeah, right. Later that day, they're still walking around, and Aaron Paul comes up to me like, dude, I hate doing these. I had fun with you. And I was like,
oh, that's cool.
Wow, thank you. Like, I really appreciate it. And he says, what are you doing tonight? And I'm like,
hello.
I don't know.
Right.
He's like, we're hanging out at this bar.
I'm a nerdy white guy.
If you want to come by.
What do you want me there for?
And I'm like, and again, it's like, am I being pranked? Like, what is going on?
You said, no, I'm
here?
going to go see the Lone Bellow.
Yeah, well, we did, actually,
Right.
and it was wonderful. But no, I showed up. I walked in, like, they're not going to be here. This is a bit. There's Aaron Paul and Kid Cudi just sitting at this rooftop bar, like the two of them.
You didn't go to
hanging
that
out.
party for the basketball player?
Wait, the party for the basketball
Remember?
player? Which
oh
one
my
was
God.
that? I don't remember that. What
that
was
was
the
in
party?
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, that
the
was
basketball player from Orlando.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Who was that? He went to Georgia Tech.
Dukas,
Matt,
was that
no. Wasn't it Harpering?
Was Matt Harpering? All right, Matt Harpering.
And
Oh yeah.
Former boss decided
I remember it well.
he would go.
Yep.
Without an invitation.
Remember it well. All right,
Dude, they want me there.
Yeah, dude, they definitely want me there.
I just didn't get the invite, but I'm going to go.
Oh, of course he was. Of course he was going to go. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit brought to you by Griffin. Why don't you tell everybody about what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
I'm going to the fights.
All right, Shogun, 100%.
I wouldn't miss it.
That's going to be, Drew's all in.
It's the night of the Orioles are playing at home that night, maybe. And also
the Billy Joel concert.
Billy Joel, Stevie.
I'm
going to the fights.
The Orioles game at noon.
They are?
That's what they're going to do.
Okay.
They'll handle that.
It won't be at noon, but it'll be at
1,
at
whatever it'll
1:05.
be. Yeah, they'll play it. They'll make it because it's a weekend that's going to be multiple baseball games. So there'll be another game they can play.
The Ravens don't play at home the next day.
No.
Wouldn't they just move the show to the next day, or is that too much of a pain in the ass? And you're presupposing that the two artists.
Yeah, I don't know. Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks have another show that next night. I couldn't tell you.
I doubt it. I doubt they go back to back.
I don't know. Anyway, go ahead. What's
Over
going
at
on?
Live Casino Hotel Maryland is the R Bar. You can beat the heat and get ready to rock at the R Bar at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland, located right in the center of the casino floor. The R Bar features live music on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, and a seasonal rotation of yard drinks, including a vodka Red Bull slush and a frozen Mount Gay rum runner. You can try all the different combinations at the R Bar at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, it's not just that they're not playing the next night. This is the weirdest tour in the history of.
It's the only show they're doing for a month.
They're playing on September 23rd in Foxborough.
Right.
October 7th in Baltimore. And again, not again until November 10th in Minneapolis.
Right.
It's bizarro world. I don't know what any of this
so they
is.
couldn't move. So they couldn't move the concert to Sunday. I'm not suggesting they will.
Yeah. No, I don't. I think my understanding.
Or Friday, although the Orioles will probably play Friday.
Understanding from talking to people
1
is
o'clock.
that this is not really a
an issue.
concern. That it needs to be dealt with whenever it comes up. But they believe.
Well, we've
that
had some issues before with
understood
baseball and football at the same time.
There is reason to believe that it will be taken. I cannot believe that it was put into this conversation the other day. It's 12:20.
Here's one thing.
Still got to talk to Jake Funk.
Oh, is it 12:20 now?
It's 12:20.
Oh,
we
I
gotta
go.
Yeah,
I'm on the tee.
Tidbit.
Right,
We talk about how I see you, Drew. Talk about how good the AFC was. Well, guess what? I think the NFC is better for the first time in NFL history. 7 teams.
They get to play each other.
7 teams.
They get to play the NFC. They have a huge benefit.
7 teams have started 2-0.
The entire NFC South, the greatest division of football history, the NFC South.
This one comes from Andrew Siciliano. The NFL Research's penalty database goes back to 1991. And the last time a quarterback was flagged for 2 personal fouls in one game, so Deshaun Watson on Monday night, was Week 3 of 2020 when Josh Allen was flagged twice for 2 personal fouls.
Okay, that doesn't actually sound. It's not that long ago. 1 and 2.
Well, it's the only other time.
All right.
Yeah. And as we talked about, Nick Chubb did get hurt Monday night, but he is one of the best, really just pure, I guess, running backs that we've seen in a while.
Sure.
They kept putting up the stat of, he is top 3 all time in yards per carry with a minimum of 500 rushes, but that was just because ESPN wanted to put Bo Jackson on the graphic for some reason. So how about minimum of 1,000 rushes? Can you name the 5 running backs? Well, I guess since I gave you 1, the 4 other running backs that have averaged 5 yards per carry with a minimum of 1,000 rush attempts.
5 yards per carry, 1,000 rush attempts.
Yes. Nick Chubb is at 1,200 for.
That's pretty remarkable.
And he is second, 5.3
because this has got to hit so Barry Sanders, I'm going to guess.
Barry Sanders is at 5.0, and he is 5th on the list.
It's the sweet spot. He got out before he could have a.
Well, he had 3,000 carries. Barry Sanders did actually.
I know, but he didn't get to that part of his
where
career where it was so I'm going to guess that Adrian Peterson's not on the list because of that.
That is correct. Adrian Peterson is at 4.6.
And again, if he had not tried to drag it out at the end, I'm going to assume that he would have been able to make that.
He only had 200 more carries than Barry Sanders, though.
Well, Barry Sanders was used more.
Yeah.
During Adrian Peterson played when passing became more prominent, but the age thing is the difference. Barry Sanders retired at a young age, so when he was running, Adrian Peterson was so elevated in age.
He was still in his prime.
Oh,
yeah.
Barry Sanders was vastly still in his prime when he stepped away from football. I believe Jim Brown.
Jim Brown is top 3 on this list. 5.2 yards per carry.
Let's say Emmitt Smith. Although he also stuck around for a while.
Yeah, not Emmitt Smith.
Hey,
where is Emmitt Smith?
How about Walter Payton?
Walter Payton is not in the top 5.
Boy, I might not do well here.
The two that you're missing are one is active one is played as recently as 10 years ago.
Okay, so I was going to go the other way. All right, active. So Jonathan Taylor.
Not Jonathan Taylor.
So
Emmitt Smith had 4.2.
Derrick Henry.
Not Derrick Henry.
And he has a lot of middle of the running in between the
4.7 yards per carry.
For
Derrick Henry. He's like 10th.
Active.
This guy just beat the threshold. He's at like 1,040.
Saquon.
Not Saquon.
Dalvin.
Not Dalvin.
Boy, I might not get this.
Funny enough, he was inactive on this past Sunday.
Oh, Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, 5.1 yards per carry.
That is stunning.
Yeah.
That is stunning. All right, and somebody who's active in the last 10 years.
Number 1, 5.4 yards per carry.
Chris Johnson.
Not Chris Johnson.
I don't even know if that's 10 years at this point. It's hard to figure out 10 years anymore. How about Steven Jackson?
Not Steven Jackson.
Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles.
Really?
Is who it is. Yeah, he actually played in 2018. He had.
Oh wow! I didn't realize he was still playing in 2018.
He got 6 carries with the Jaguars.
Jesus.
But yeah, Jamal Charles, number 1, 5.4.
You'll need that on the grid someday soon.
Yeah.
You'll need that. That's remarkable. All right, very good. Tubular is brought to you today by the Baltimore County Police Department. They've got a big hiring event coming up at the Public Safety Building. You're going to want to, even if you're not sure that you want to think about a career with the Baltimore County Police Department, you should show up this day. And the reason why you should is because you can just get questions answered. October 28th, Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. You can do the written test, the agility test, go through the entire application process, or just talk to members of the specialized units and find out, like, hey, I don't know if being a patrol officer, I don't know if that's the thing for me. Find out what they do. Have a conversation. And even if you're not thinking about being a police officer, it's a great opportunity for folks in the community to get to know the Baltimore County Police. They'll also be hosting a trunk or treat that afternoon, so you can bring your kids, get some candy, let them interact with the police. It's a really good opportunity for the community to gather. Saturday, October 28th, Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road in Towson. Find out more by contacting them, 410-887-4584 or 410-887-5521. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Orioles, actually this afternoon, not tonight. Orioles wrap up their series with the Astros. Kyle Bradish faces Christian Javier, 2 o'clock on Masson, and in the rest of the country, you can watch it on ESPN+. WNBA playoffs continue tonight with a winner-take-all Game 3 between the Connecticut Sun and Minnesota Lynx at 8 o'clock on ESPN. The Mystics were eliminated last night. Baseball throughout the day. Masson 2, White Sox Nationals at 1, MLB Network, Phillies Braves noon. You know, it's baseball. You find it all at GlennClarkRadio.com. DC United takes on Atlanta United tonight at 7:30 on Apple TV. TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Anything non-sports-wise?
It is the season 13 finale of MasterChef on Fox.
I am not caught up, though. So
all right, I won't say anything. They're doing a season 2 of the Murdaugh Murders on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
What more could there be?
I don't know.
I'll watch. I'll tell you that.
It's,
he did just do, but Buster, the one that we think killed his friend, because remember that was the stories they think he was gay and he killed the guy because they didn't want anybody to know he was gay. I saw he just did like an interview recently, so
well then I guess
maybe there is more there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The season 3 of the D'Amelio Show.
I believe it's Murdoch, isn't it? Isn't that how they pronounce it?
Right?
And it's all weird because like the guy's name is clearly Alex, but he says it like Alec. It's like Alec Murdoch. Like however the name is spelled, it's nothing like.
He wants to be like British.
I don't know. It's weird.
Season 3 of the D'Amelio Show on Hulu.
Oh, you can't mix that. That's your girl, right?
Yeah, right.
Did you ever get a response back?
No.
Ridiculous. What are you doing?
Season 12 of
You could have been part of the D'Amelio show.
Yeah, I know.
You could have
Real
been
opportunity I
in
missed.
with old Dixie chick.
Yep.
You could have been in there. The way you're dismissive of this is so dumb. The way you're like, oh yeah, sure, roll it out there. You know why I know that you can't is because you didn't try. That's how I know. Otherwise, you might just find out. Maybe that's the day where she's like, you know what? I'm gonna give this guy a chance. See what I feel about it. And then you could be living the high life.
Leave this all in the past.
You wouldn't have to deal with any of this. You could make your
deal
dumb.
with you again, yeah.
You could make terrible pats on the ass lists wherever you want. You could start your own empire. Say you can be my producer. You could totally reverse court, but you're not going to try. Ridiculous. Go ahead.
Season 12 of American Horror Story on FX. As FX seems to be the only network that's like still pumping out shows.
Well, presumably it was filmed before.
But yeah, it was. But I guess they just don't care that they're actors or whatever.
But that's the issue is that like even stuff that was filmed beforehand, like that was what a lot of people talked about Winning Time, which was officially canceled, which sucks so much. God, the best show on television. Of course, it was canceled. But one of the biggest problems was they couldn't have any of the stars. They couldn't send Adrian Brody out to do the rounds and promote the show, and it hurt. And so all these other networks, even stuff that they had already filmed, they're like
holding it.
What do we do here?
Yeah.
That's why ABC is just going to run Monday Night Football for the rest of the season. Like every game is going to be simulcast.
They're like, we're re-airing Yellowstone from episode 1.
And you know what? I get it. There is still a percentage of people that in the country that probably did not know because they didn't know where Yellowstone could be found. So it honestly, it makes sense.
And so I asked my friend, my writer friend, and he was like, "Well, I'm not sure if Steve Sciarippa is even supposed to be talking about stuff that he's been in." Like when we were talking to him about the Sopranos.
Well, he didn't like promote an upcoming project.
Right.
He just
Well, apparently, people aren't supposed to talk about if they're still in SAG or whatever.
But I thought it was they weren't supposed to promote it. I didn't think it was that they couldn't talk about it. I don't think they could.
Well,
I don't think
talk
he's
about past.
But what I'm saying is, I don't think he could say watch The Sopranos on Max.
Oh, okay.
I think he's allowed to like answer. Now again, I'm not, but I talk to Josh most days. Like I think you're allowed to talk about it, just not promote it.
Okay.
So
he can talk about his former roles.
Right. Just can't say you can watch The Sopranos on Max. I don't think he's allowed, even if it's not a new show. I don't think he's allowed to promote, anything. Nor would he, obviously. Yeah. That's weird. Oh, that's weird. Very weird bit.
That's it.
All right. Very good. Longest show we've ever done today. Boy, we set a new record for that regularly. Thanks today to Drew. Oh, by the way, I need to remind everybody that you can use the code GlennClark23. That's GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. When you sign up at Superbook, download the Superbook app, you will get up to $250 in a first bet match, win or lose on the same day. GlennClark23 is the code. Go there today. 7.5 is the number for Ravens Colts on Sunday. So if you are feeling super confident in the Ravens, like they're going to go crush the Colts, then get your bets in appropriately with Superbook.com. Use that code GlennClark23. All right. Thanks today to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Jake Mintz from Fox Sports. Thanks to Bob Nightengale from USA Today. And to Jake Funk. We had a big Jake day. Yeah. We couldn't get Jake from State Farm today?
No, I guess I should have reached out.
Shad Bateman called me Jake from State Farm last week. It wasn't on air. We were joking about how they all looked fresh, and I was like, and I'm wearing my finest khaki shorts. And he was like, yo, Jake from State Farm.
It's good. That's big for you.
I loved it. I thought it was great. Anyway, big Jake day. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
Picks with Ken Zales.
Oh boy. Tomorrow is a day, and we'll do a show. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, the Maryland 5-Star, the Baltimore County Police Department, Dorchester County, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Superbook, Baltimore Orioles, Birdland Sports, Easy Pass MD, Harford County, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. Yes, we wrap up today's show. Jake Funk, Colts running back, Damascus' own former Terp, right here on GCR. Well, joined now here on GCR by a man who I remember calling a football game that he played at M&T Bank Stadium once upon a time where he scored 7 touchdowns. I hope that's not what he's going to be doing on Sunday, but it's going to be cool to have him back. He is, of course, the pride of Damascus, he a Terp, and now with the Indianapolis Colts. Jake Funk back with us here on GCR. Jake, it's Glenn. It's so great to chat with you as always, brother. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. I really appreciate it.
Hey, dude, being back at M&T Bank Stadium, like, you played a couple games there in your life. I gotta imagine it's gonna bring back a couple of feelings being there on Sunday, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, M&T Bank was obviously a place where I have a lot of memories, from high school to even coming back and playing there in 2021 when I was with the Rams.
Yeah.
So a lot of history there and, a lot of fun times that I've had in that stadium.
I know that, you've been doing this now for a minute. I realize that you've already, unlike a lot of guys who will play for 20 years and never win a ring, you've already got a ring. But I wonder if, being a guy that's had to bounce around a little bit, if there's an appreciation that you have for getting to continue this and having another team say, no, we want you here. We want you to be a part of what you're doing. That you already, even at such a young age, that you can have a greater, 10,000-foot view of what it means to you to be able to keep living out this journey and living out this dream of playing in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the last couple years have been a little different for me, obviously having to bounce around a little bit. But it definitely does give you a greater appreciation for the game and, the business side of the NFL, honestly. It stands for not for long for a reason. And I'm, super thankful that I've been, given another chance with the Colts and that they want me here and, given me the opportunity to go out there and continue to do what I love.
You, of course, show up at the Colts at a time where, everything, you're missing Evan and, of course, you're missing Jonathan. And I don't know, you guys look really good last week, right? That was really impressive. What did you learn about this team and what it is that this team is capable of when you know that around the NFL there are plenty of people that have been writing you guys off?
I mean, yeah, we've known that people have written us off for a while, but I mean, honestly, inside the building, we know that we're a team that can come in and compete. We believe in our quarterback, we believe in our team, we believe in our defense, and it's just something that we just continue to preach every single day. So you just got to come in and go to work. And it really, in the NFL, it's hard to win games in this league, and it's something that we take pride in every single week, trying to just be 1-0 that week. And we'll see where the chips fall at the end of the season.
No doubt about it. He is Jake Funk. He is with us here on GCR. We're getting ready for Colts-Ravens on Sunday. Jake, for you, this path, everybody knows your story, all the injuries that you went through, and getting the chance to get drafted, and I feel like your story to me is one of my favorites in all of football. And I wonder, as you and I reflect is the wrong word because you're still so young in this career, but I wonder if you have started to get a feel for how you've been able to overcome the odds. Why has it been different for you than it has been for so many players, as you bring up, that haven't been able to get there and make it stick? What it is about yourself, your upbringing, anything like that?
I think it's from what I learned in college, going through injuries and, not exactly playing as much as I wanted to early on and, even towards the middle of the career. I've learned how to handle, in my opinion, adversity within this game when it comes to just confidence and not letting anything kill your confidence and just continuing to be in this neutral mindset of just coming in every day and trying to get better every single day. And really, that's kind of it, where I've just kind of developed this neutral mindset, I guess you could say, where you just come in, you work every single day, and you don't worry about all the external things that could possibly happen. And all you really worry about is how can I internally get better every single day.
How much do you feel like you have to, obviously we know what you're capable of as a football player, but those things that you're talking about, I feel like can also impact the team just because you're able to have clarity and spread it. Do you find yourself, I don't want to try to suggest that you're a mental health coach or something like that for that group of guys, but do you find yourself trying to share that message and try to help keep the rest of your guys as neutral as you are?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's there's ups and downs in this league. And I mean, if I could be a guy that can, share my story and what I've been through in the NFL, what I've been through with injuries, hopefully it can just, help somebody just a little bit to be able to get them through, whether that's injuries, getting cut, having to move around to different cities. If there's any little insight that I could, provide, I'd love to do that.
He is Jake Funk. He's with us here on GCR as we're getting ready for Ravens Colts. You mentioned your quarterbacks, and obviously they both played on Sunday, and we'll see how this week goes. But I think there's a lot of excitement surrounding Anthony Richardson, and it's kind of ironic, right? Because here it's Lamar Jackson on the other side on Sunday, and I know there's been a lot of comparisons over the years. But what have you gotten to know about him early on, and what makes him special, and why he has the ability to become a really dynamic player in this league?
I think, one, he's got some God-given ability that you can't coach. He is a special talent. And then also as a person, he's a grinder. He came in immediately and started to just dive into the playbook and try to learn everything as fast as he possibly can. We've advanced into the regular season, you can kind of see that his preparation is top-notch. He is in the facility day in and day out, just learning, trying to get better, and trying to take everything in. And then, just from a leadership standpoint, too, we voted him a team captain as a rookie.
Wow.
So, he's a guy that a lot of people in this building have a lot of respect for right away. And, just by his day-to-day preparation, his day-to-day work ethic. And I think he's going to be somebody who's going to be very special in this league.
Is there something dangerous about a team? We referenced earlier that you guys are aware of, the outside perception of what's going on there. But is there something dangerous? Like, here in Baltimore, everybody's very high about, going on the road and beating the Bengals and, the Super Bowl. Like, let's talk about those things. Is there something dangerous about a team that maybe doesn't face those burdens, that you say, look, people don't expect it. We know how good we are. We know that we're capable of going in and competing with everyone all season long.
Yeah, obviously, it's kind of that under-the-radar team that, if you come in and, you look at us like that, you're in jeopardy of getting beat by a team that, is perceived to be less than you. And, I think there is something to that. But at the end of the day, we just have to come in and do what we've done since the day we came back for training camp, is just come in and work. And really, just continue to build every single week on the team that we want to be.
All right, so you got to get the first taste of it. Like, we go back to the pandemic season, and there were a couple of good wins, and it was such a weird year, but you could start to see something was coming. How much did you know then, like, what was happening with Mike Locksley and this program and the direction they were going in? And how comfortable, how good do you feel about the opportunity that's in front of the program right now?
Oh, back in 2020, you definitely saw a shift in, I would say, the culture of the whole entire organization. And I think that year we really started to, capitalize on that shift in culture. And I think Locks and all the guys at the University of Maryland have done an amazing job just building off of every single year. And, it's getting to a point now where they are playing at a level where they are not looked at as a mid to bottom tier program. They're looked at as a top tier Big Ten program that every single week, it's going to be a dogfight with them. And I'm just so excited to be able to see that come to life, and just being able to watch that from afar and knowing that those guys have it. They have the culture, they have the talent, and I'm super excited to see what they do this season.
Jake, I acknowledge I don't know how much you've been able to watch specific games so far, but the thing that I feel like I keep trying to figure out is what does it take to go from, to your point, not a doormat, not the team that everybody can just mark down as an automatic win, to closing the gap. Like we saw a year ago, they were so close against Michigan. They were so close against Ohio State. Like, what is the biggest difference to you? Right now, it would be nice to not fall behind 14-0 to start a game. Like, maybe we could start with that.
Yeah.
Because that hasn't been great. But what's the biggest difference to going from team that's close to competitive to being a team that can genuinely beat those types of teams and be a threat in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two things. I mean, I think you have to start games fast. I think you have to come out of the blocks and be able to put up points and be able to stop them defensively. But I also think there's a component of it when you get into that fourth quarter and everybody's tired, you have to find a way to finish games. And, when you get into Big Ten play, all those games are going to be close. Everybody in the Big Ten is very, very good. And, the teams that, win 9, 10, 11 games in the Big Ten, they find ways to finish games in the fourth quarter. And I think that is the next step for them is, figuring out how to find ways to finish. And the last two games, they've been able to do that. They've gone down 14-0 and have climbed back and finished games in the fourth quarter, which is something that I think is very valuable when you start moving into Big Ten play.
It's funny because, I feel like it's nice that we're at a place where we're almost dismissive of a win over Virginia, right? Like, everybody's like, oh, they beat Virginia, but, what are they going to do when they play the real teams? Like, we're not that far removed from, beating Virginia would be an accomplishment. It would be worth singing about at that point. So it's a statement already in and of itself and a real opportunity in front of them to try to get to as much as 5-0 and make things really interesting as they move into conference play. A couple weeks ago I had the opportunity to catch up with Brian Brzee as he was getting ready for the start of his season. I don't know if you've gotten to know Brian at all, but to see the Damascus NFL family grow, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I know Brian personally. I know him very well. And, I was so excited and so happy for him when he got drafted and, him going to the Saints. I was there for 3 weeks, so I know that building. He's in a good place with good people. And I was really, I'm just excited to, have another Damascus guy in the NFL with me. It's really cool. We play the Saints here in October, I believe.
Oh, man.
And, just being able to see him and, and watch his success and watch his career grow, it's going to be great. He's a very special talent, obviously. And, I'm just super excited to see how his career unfolds.
That'd be a pretty cool jersey swap to do after that game. If everything works out the right way. That'd be a really cool one to do. By the way, is there one that you have so far? Is there you're a few years into this at this point. Have you done a jersey swap that's been really cool to you, or do you have something that one of your teammates or somebody signed for you that's go ahead.
Yeah, I've done just a few jersey swaps with guys that I played with in L.A. when we won the Super Bowl my rookie year.
Okay,
which is cool. Just guys that, you spend a lot of time with, have a lot of good memories with. So I have a few jerseys there. And then obviously, going through the year, I'm sure I'll acquire some more.
Oh, man. That was a pretty good, decent group to be around, obviously, Hey,
there
were some pretty okay players.
It was an amazing year.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. Hey, what did you know about Odell, right? I assume you're going to see him on Sunday. I don't know if you got to, really spend time talking to him and getting to know him during the course of that year. But what did you know about him? And when you found out he was going to Baltimore, what did you think about that in that moment?
I personally, I love Odell. I mean, he was a guy that came in to the Rams my rookie year and was a guy that was just loved by his teammates immediately. He's a great human being. He's a great teammate, and just obviously an amazing football player. And, when I heard that he was going to the Ravens, I couldn't be more happy for him. All I thought about was Lamar Jackson to OBJ.
Yeah.
That's a special combination right there. And it's very cool to see him playing for obviously our hometown team.
That's cool. That's really cool that it's something that still resonates with you, man. That's really, really cool. All right, so is it still a big deal? Are there still going to be? Can we expect there to be 100, 200 Funk family and friends on Sunday, or are they kind of over it at this point? We've seen you play a lot. We can catch this one on TV if we have to.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people there. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Anytime people are able to come see me play in person, people that have, been such an instrumental part of my life, to be able to just see me live out my dreams. I feel like people aren't going to miss that for the world. So I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of people at the game cheering me on.
That's awesome, man. At JakeFunk34 on Twitter. What about Jake? It's the same thing on Instagram, correct?
Yes. Same thing.
Give him a follow on those spots. Dude, I told you a million times, but I still think about that night and you running for all those touchdowns. I know there were a lot of Dundalk folks in my life that weren't thrilled about it, but it was a really cool thing. And to follow your journey from that moment forward and everything you've been through and to see how you've grinded and continued to press on, it's a really awesome story. And we're so happy for you and continuing this. Please, don't score 7 touchdowns on Sunday. That would be really nice. We ask that of you. But we always appreciate you, dude. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Glenn. I appreciate it.